lightning and trees and power lines down all over the area, but baseball tonight still going to be played at Shea. Despite the dark clouds, perhaps they're going to clear. The tarp on the field at Shea Stadium as the rain falls on the Kia Wednesday game of the week. The New York Mets play the Chicago Cubs. This game available in high definition, presented by IO Digital Cable, the leader in HD. Do you see in HD? And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Shea Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you as the rain continues to fall on the tarp here at Shea. And the weatherman saying sometime a little later tonight we should have baseball here as the Mets take on the Cubs. Game 3 of a 4-game series. The Cubs won it easily last night, 10-1. And the Mets tonight trot out Jorge Sosa to make his third start. And Sosa, who had a good year with the Braves a couple of years ago, has been tremendous so far. He has been brilliant so far. A lot of times when you send down a guy who's a veteran pitcher, sometimes they go down there and pout in AAA, but he did not. He went and worked on that slider. He perfected it. He made it a little tighter than it used to be. It used to be more of a slurve, and it's been outstanding for the Mets so far. Throwing that slider, and when he gets ahead in the count, he will try to paint that 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside. But Sosa so far has done everything the Mets could ask. Meanwhile, Shawn Green had a bounce-back night last night. Green, who had been struggling since cutting his hair last night, might have hit the two hardest balls he's hit all year. Well, he had a good night at the plate. 2 for 3, a double, a solo home run. And as Gary said, since the haircut, he was 1 for 18, folks. Well, this put an end to that, and that was his home run, his solo shot that got the Mets on the board. And he followed with a rocket double into right center field also. So he had a big night. Didn't get his final turn at bat because it was a blowout. But promising sign for the Mets. They obviously need his bat to get hot. By the way, Shawn made an appearance at a middle school today and told the kids, don't succumb to peer pressure. Rich Hill will be on the mound for the Cubs tonight. Their talented young left-hander, Jorge Sosa, for the Mets when we get started. Meanwhile, we put a microphone on, of all people, Ramon Castro, the funniest Met. You'll want to hear this when we come back to Shea Stadium as the Mets and Cubs wait out the rain. Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Barbados, proud sponsors of the New York Mets. Experience the authentic Caribbean. By Kia, the presenting sponsor of the Kia Wednesday game of the week on Sportsnet New York. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Hummer. Visit Hummer.com to check out the H3 Hummer like nothing else. And by IO Digital Cable, the leaders in HD and presenting sponsor of the Mets in high definition. Do you see in HD? This year, when you can't be home to watch your Mets on SNY or CW11, check out MLB.tv. You can log on to the internet to watch every out-of-market Mets game of the season live, catch those you missed on demand, or listen to every radio broadcast live. Sign up today for MLB.tv, an unparalleled live baseball experience. For more details, visit Mets.com, where baseball is always on. As the rain falls at Shea, let's check out the Jeep around the majors. Tim Hudson and the Braves beating the Nationals last night. Ken Griffey Jr. with a 12th inning home run for the Reds in their victory in San Diego. And Carlos Lee, 2 home runs, including a walk-off winner for the Astros against San Francisco last night. Also a couple of Met notes in the news, and neither one of them particularly pleasant. Lino Urdaneta, who was just sent down the other day by the Mets, tests positive for performance-enhancing drugs, suspended for 50 games. And it's the second minor league player that's gotten nabbed for the Mets this season. Of course, they had Guillermo Mota last season. What do you do? How do you educate guys not to do this if they're starting to get caught? Well, I think you have to enforce the law, number one. There has to be I think the penalties are in place. And 50 games is a lot, and it can hinder a career. I mean, what are you going to do if, these drugs are available in pharmacies in the Caribbean and Mexico. There's limits to the power of our government to tell another country to change their laws. I mean, you can go across the border or down on the islands and get them at pharmacies, and we're here in this country, it's illegal. How do you change that?
I don't have the answer.
And the problem is, I think the Mets, like most organizations, are trying to educate their younger players, but you have the knucklehead factor, and that's going to happen. Sometimes guys are just going to try, especially guys, you know, it's not only the stars. Guys that are on the line that are trying to get a job and stay in the big leagues sometimes will succumb to those things.
And I think you make a good point, Keith, because the preponderance of players who are getting caught are the Latino players.
I agree, and it's because it's there for them readily. And, you know, even the American players that are on the West Coast and the suppliers, they just run across the border down to Mexico and they come back with a haul.
Well, maybe the more guys who get caught, it serves as a deterrent factor for the next group. Meanwhile, Lastings Milledge, who looked as though he was really getting his act together after some difficulties with his teammates and with the media last year. This spring training, he had everything going for him, and it looked like he was coming. I mean, he made the team out of spring training. He kept his nose clean, and now this rap record comes out with his voice on there with completely inappropriate lyrics. Not altogether different from other rap records we've heard, yes. But in the climate right now and with Milledge in the situation that he's in, you just have to wonder what he was thinking.
Well, I think, you know, it's a business that he owns that's producing this album. And I think for all Met fans, and especially Omar and the Wilpons, they would love if Lastings Milledge's most important business was baseball.
Well, I just think some things are common sense, the do's and don'ts. And I think what Ronnie said last time about the steroids, there's a knucklehead factor here, big time. It just use your head. You just don't. You're trying to get to the big leagues, get a career. Just certain things you just stay away from. And
Omar Minai even acknowledged today that Milledge's trade value has probably plummeted because of this and other factors that have come to light about Milledge over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think that you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, this is coming out when the most important thing for him is he should be getting healthy. Right. You know, he's been on the DL, so.
Has a sprained foot, and hopefully he will, and we'll see if he can overcome this. Meanwhile, it continues to rain here at Shea Stadium. Yesterday, in a much lighter note, we had a chance to put a microphone on Mets backup catcher Ramon Castro. We've told you a lot about just how entertaining a guy he is. Let's see what he did in batting practice.
Have the mic. What?
Yeah?
Talk to me.
Talk to you?
Yeah.
Talk to you? Why talk to you?
Yeah.
Why are they miking you up?
Yeah. Well, he with the Yankees. We play Thursday. We play Yankees Thursday.
No.
Yeah.
We play the Cubbies here. A day game Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We got Pettit, Rossman, and Mussina with the Yankees.
All right. Vamos a montar la cancha aquí. Habla conmigo.
Mi gente, ¿qué es lo que aquí me encuentro con Ramon Castro? Un saludo de parte de la melaza, tú sabes.
Que todos los días sean de sol. Wow. Te pido que todos los...
You had Ned, Ramon?
Huh?
You had Ned?
Oh.
You done?
Yeah. What I need to do?
I'll just take it off you when you go to the clubhouse.
You want to take it off now?
Sure. If you're going in, you're not going back out there, are you?
I gotta go catch bullpens.
Oh, okay.
Leave it on?
Yeah, leave it on.
How about chest one time? Please throw the chest. Boy, what I'm talking about. See. You can be a good set of men. Hey! No, you were looking that way. Mujer, valió la pena.
The SNY sights and sounds of the game are presented by Hummer like nothing else. And Ramon Castro, he's like nothing else. Do you like David Wright's cutter?
Oh, well, how about first base will never be the same after he's been over there.
I hope somebody thought to sit and translate the parts we didn't understand. We wouldn't want any incidents. It's raining at Shea. The Mets and Cubs hoping to play ball tonight. We'll come right back to Shea in just a moment. Weekday mornings before you head out the door, check out the CW11's Commuter Cast. From traffic tie-ups to train delays, get up-to-the-minute time-saving traffic reports with Commuter Cast all morning long on the CW11 Morning News. Well, it's raining here at Shea. Mets are hoping to play tonight. The upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets home games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IO Digital Cable. The UC in HD. Day game schedule tomorrow. Who knows? That could turn into a doubleheader if they don't play tonight. Then the Yankees are in for the weekend series, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday night. The Mets then travel to Atlanta for 3 and Florida for 3 on the upcoming road trip. Well, we should know more about the weather and what's going to happen here at Shea in the next 20 minutes or so. In the meantime, we're going to take it to a Mets classic. The Mets and Phillies from September 22nd, 1988. We'll be waiting right here at Shea. Well, the good news is that Mr. Met is keeping his head dry. The bad news is it's still raining here at Shea Stadium with no end in sight in the near future. It's raining hard right now. The field has been covered for several hours now, and the Mets and Cubs are hoping to play baseball tonight. They've got a day game scheduled tomorrow as well. And as soon as we have more information, we'll be right back here to pass it along to you. Right now, let's go back to Mets Classics on SNY. Back here at Shea Stadium where the rain continues to fall. Mets and Cubs hoping to play baseball tonight. They tell us they're going to have another weather meeting in about 10 minutes to try and further the information flow. But they are hoping to play, and so we're hanging out here at Shea watching the raindrops fall. Pitter patter, pitter patter. Let's take you back to your Mets Classic. Outside game. Well, there is good news to report here at Shea Stadium. The rain, for the moment, has stopped. The tarp is still on the field. The grounds crew is yet to make its appearance, so they might be anticipating another brief shower, but they're anticipating we'll be playing baseball before very long here at Shea Stadium as the Mets and Cubs try and play the third game of their 4-game series. Be sure to get to Shea in 2007 for more thrills and good times with Mets season tickets and plans, which include exclusive postseason ticket purchase options. Get your season tickets and plans at Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. The 2007 Mets, your season has come. A lot of fans have moved down into the field boxes, getting ready for the grounds crew to take the tarp off the field. Should be ready for baseball in a while. Right now, let's send you back to this Mets Classic. Well, there's good news here at Shea Stadium. An hour and 50 minutes after the Mets and Cubs were supposed to start playing baseball, the grounds crew has come out. They have dumped all the water off the main tarp, but they're now standing and waiting for further instructions, which tells you that perhaps there's another rain shower in the area. But the radar is certainly looking better. Most of the rain has moved out to our east, and so we should be playing baseball before too terribly long. In fact, they're playing down in Philadelphia now after a rain delay there. This week, Jets Nation reports from rookie camp as Gang Green's freshman class takes to the practice field, and Coach Eric Mangini gets a first-hand look at his new recruits. An all-new Jets Nation Saturday at noon, only on Sportsnet New York. So it's just a matter of time before the Mets and Cubs get underway here at Shea. Jorge Sosa against Rich Hill when we start. We'll come back with all the exciting action, but first, back to this Mets Classic. Well, we're still hoping to play baseball here at Shea, and as a matter of fact, looking at the radar, you see a couple of raindrops falling right now. This is the last vestige of what is passing through, and it would seem as though in a few minutes they should be taking the tarp off the field, and albeit at a late hour, the Mets and Cubs should be playing baseball tonight. Weekday afternoons between 4 and 6, log on to the CW11.com for live traffic updates from the CW11's Commuter Cast. Check with Commuter Cast before you hit the road to find the fastest way home or the easiest way to Shea. So baseball upcoming, perhaps here at Shea. Mets and Cubs scheduled. Right now, let's take you back to this Mets Classic on SNY. Well, it appears that the rain has finally come to an end here at Shea Stadium. Actually, it's still drizzling a little bit, but the radar tells us that the rain has just about vacated the area, so the grounds crew, as you see, in the process of getting that tarp off the field. They'll have some work to do to get the infield ready, get the pitchers warmed up. They're hoping to start this game at about 10:15, a half an hour from now. Bring a group to Shea for more fun and celebrations with the 2007 Mets. Enjoy the game with family, friends, or community groups in ballpark seating or the picnic area. Call 718-507-TIXX to book your group now. The 2007 Mets, your season has come. The Braves have finished their game in Washington. Braves lost to the Nats 6-4, so the Mets have a chance to go back into first place tonight if they can beat the Cubs. Starting time about a half hour away, but for right now, back to Mets Classics on SNY. And welcome back to Shea Stadium. About 3 hours after we first joined you and told you all about tonight's game. Baseball. Let's see, the game was scheduled for 7:10. It's 10:12 in the evening now, and in just a few minutes, baseball will embark. And, you know, Ronnie, you've been in this situation before as a starting pitcher. Jorge Sosa goes tonight for the Mets, Rich Hill for the Cubs. What are those 3 hours like? I think it's toughest on the starting pitcher, and nothing against the players, but the players play cards, they eat pizza, they hang out, they kibitz and talk about. The starting pitcher is serious the entire time, just trying to get ready for the start. I would personally, if I knew it's going to be a long-range play, I go in the trainer's room, have a little bit of 45-minute, hour nap, just try to relieve some of that tension, because you can't keep it bottled up for those 3 hours. From a position player's standpoint, does it wear on you all those hours of waiting?
I never liked playing a rain delay, and the longer the worse. You're geared to play at 7:30, 7 o'clock, and you know it's just I was always afraid because you did all your preparation, then you get cold inside an air-conditioned clubhouse, and you go back out, and I was always afraid I was going to pull a hamstring or something because you tighten up, even though you go out and do your run and you get stretched out again. But I was always afraid of getting injured in that regard. Never did, fortunately. But it was never a game I enjoyed playing. It always was like, it felt like I was paddling upstream. It was just a chore.
And it's got to be a different feeling once the game starts, too. There would have been 40,000 people here tonight. A lot of people have gone home. You've got some diehards here. Probably, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 people looking at the stands. And they've been sitting around for hours. They're all revved up and ready for baseball now. They might have had a couple of adult beverages along the way. It's got to be a little different atmosphere.
Well, it's always flat. It's just not the excitement. And as a player, you know, and a pitcher or an everyday player, and I think Ronnie will agree, you know, we're paid to play ball, and no matter when it starts, you just have to, you know, strap it on and get up for it and go.
And you'll be out on that mound. You'll throw ball one. Some fan will yell at you. You can see him and go, I'm trying. Give me a second.
You realize this is your second game tonight on SNY.
That's right.
You just pitched the whole game.
That's right. I had a lot more stamina then. Are we still on HD? Because I know I look horrible.
I don't think that's true at all. I think you look just great. We should be ready for baseball in just a few moments. Jorge Sosa's completed his warm-up pitches, and the Mets will be taking the field at any time. Oh, almost on cue. Here they are. So after some 3 hours of waiting, grounds crew did a tremendous job, by the way. They came out and dumped the water off the tarp at one point. Then it started raining again. They dumped the water off again. They got the infield in shape in record time. And for all the rain, and I know there's been a lot of damage done around the New York area, trees down and power lines down, people without power, especially in Westchester and Connecticut. And all our best is with you, and hopefully if you have power you can hang out with us and feel a little better about things.
Damian Easley, and at third base.
Here's your forward lineup for the Cubs tonight, same one as last night, including Cliff Floyd, who had 3 hits in his return to Shea last night. Aramis Ramirez at the big blow, the grand slam off Scott Schoenweis that put the game away in a 10-1 Chicago rout.
And on the mound for the Mets, Jorge Sosa.
Well, Jorge Sosa has been about as good as you could expect him to be since coming up. See that good ERA. One of the things he's done better than I remember Sosa doing, he has thrown a first pitch strike to 71% of the batters he's faced so far. That is an excellent number. Getting ahead of the hitters has been his really effective point for Sosa so far in this season.
The Atlanta Braves have lost tonight. They were beaten in Washington 6-4, so the Mets with a win tonight could reclaim first place. There's another huge story going on in the National League East, and that's in Philadelphia, where Cole Hamels is perfect through 6 innings against the suddenly struggling Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, Good pitching will stop a good hitting lineup, and the Brewers definitely have some thumpers, but Hamels got no-hit stuff if he's on.
Well, Keith and I, you and I, if you look at Lou Piniella telling old war stories with Marty Noble, and we were peeking and watching Cole Hamels pitch, and he did have excellent stuff. That great changeup working tonight.
Ryan Theriot will lead things off for the Cubs, and Alfonso Soriano in this series has been batting third after hitting leadoff for the entire season up until this point. But the Cubs are hinting that when Derek Lee's ready to return to the lineup, Soriano will not go back to the leadoff spot, and that maybe Theriot will get a chance to fill that role on a semi-permanent basis. There's last night's winner, Carlos Zambrano.
Boy, he had great stuff last night.
And with Soriano's the kind of player that you're not quite sure where to put him in the lineup.
Well, when he was playing for the Nationals last season, he told Frank Robinson, I do not want to hit third. Third is not my position. I don't think he'll do the same with Lou Piniella.
Theriot with a .384 on base percentage, and Sosa gets the evening started some 3 hours and 7 minutes after we were scheduled to begin. And it's 1-0 to Theriot. And Sosa falls behind 2-0. Jorge Sosa making his third start as a Met. And there's a strike, 2-1. By the way, you have a rookie umpire behind home plate tonight, Chad Fairchild, so you never know what you're going to get there. Cliff Floyd waits on deck, and then Alfonso Soriano in the opening inning. And the breaking ball in for a strike. And it's 2-2 to Theriot.
Well, I think another thing, about Soriano, if you put him in the RBI spot, Gary, down, he steals bases.
Got him. A good slider by Sosa strikes out Theriot, 1 away.
Well, this is Jorge Sosa. He's tightened up that slider. Hard for the hitter to recognize. Threw a 2-1 to get even with Theriot, and then this good downer. No chance for the right-handed hitting Theriot.
So 1 out and nobody on. And here is Cliff Floyd. Cliff didn't play on Monday night with the Mets starting the left-hander Glavine. Last night started and had a big night, going 3 for 5, driving in a run.
Well, he should have drove in too, but he hit that line drive to center field so hard. I don't think Vince Coleman could have scored on it.
Here's a strike. You just mentioned Vince Coleman on a positive vein at Shea Stadium. That hasn't happened in a long time.
He didn't have a great tenure here, did he?
No. Cliff hitting at .295. And he loved hitting at Shea while he was a Met. You saw those numbers, that big split home and road. Much better hitter at Shea than on the road in his 4 years as a Met. Cliff was never a big fan of day games after night games. You think he'll be in the lineup tomorrow? Tomorrow's almost like a day game after an overnight game.
You know, he's been fighting for at-bats, though, so I think he'll take any chance he can to start and show Piniella what he can do.
And a very tight strike zone early on, and it's 3-1 to Floyd.
Yeah, the 1-1 pitch was a strike. He missed it. This one I'd say is down.
Well, again, you got a rookie umpire back there, so you're not quite sure what you're going to get. If you had a veteran back there, just about everything would be a strike at this hour. Instead, it's ball 4 to Floyd and a 1-out base runner for the Cubs.
Well, the Lexus defense for the Metsies are going to be pretty much everybody in there but yesterday, except for the young man right there, Carlos Gomez. And do we have 3 Carloses in the lineup today, Gary?
That is a major league record, I might add. Carlos, and Carlos. By the way, the perfect game, no hit and shutout bid is over for Cole Hamels. Ricky Weeks walked leading off the 7th. J.J. Hardy hit another home run. And it's 6-2 Phillies.
I'll tell you what, Hardy is impressive.
Here's Soriano, and he takes a strike from Sosa. Soriano's played 31 games this year. He's been on base in every single one of them. And yet in 133 at bats, Soriano has 8 runs batted in.
Very close stance.
In the air to shallow left. And Gomez with that excellent speed coming in. 2 away. Carlos Gomez has been a center fielder his whole life.
I think it tells me. I was just thinking about that. I mean, isn't it amazing? He's been a center fielder his entire life, and they have so much confidence in him as an outfielder that they start him at right his first start, and then they're not afraid to put him in left field.
And he was honest as you look at Andy Chavez, who played last night in left field. He said he was uncomfortable in right field, but you can overcome a lot of discomfort with speed. Here's Aramis Ramirez, who hit that monstrous grand slam last night. Big cut, and that one caught Fairchild, the home plate umpire, and sent him reeling.
So you want to be a big league umpire?
He just got a Mike Tyson, didn't he?
Your wake-up call. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 70 degrees outside. Oh, boy. Oh, that hurt him, too. That hurts your jaw. Oh, he staggered.
Yeah.
That might hurt your whole body. Yeah, I'm okay. Sure. Which way is up? 0-1 to Ramirez. Floyd back to the back. Delgado with an extra little slap there. Just a love tap. The slider misses, and it's 1-1 to Ramirez. The grand slam for Ramirez was his 9th home run of the year. He hit it way up in the mezzanine in left field. A couple old teammates swapping stories. Sosa misses with the slider, and it's 2-1. Well, this was last night, and you don't see many hit out to this area.
Well, Scott Schoenweiss tried to come inside with that fastball, and as Frank Howard said, turn on the fan and wrap it around a foul pole, and he certainly did.
Well, there's only been one ball hit fair into the upper deck at Shea, and Ramirez almost became the second last night. Pops up the slider, and Easley's got it lined up. And Jorge Sosa negotiates the first inning. So, better late than never. Sosa off to a good start at Shea. 6'5" left-hander Rich Hill on the mound for the Cubs tonight. And here's your Geico lineup for the Mets. Second big league start for Carlos Gomez as he plays left field. The rest of the lineup remains the same tonight. LaDuca and Green flip-flopping spots against the left-hander.
Well, Rich Hill last year early in the season got really hit around, sent down, came back up, and really established himself. It's one of the real good young left-handers. Last year 90 Ks and only 100 inning pitch.
Here's Jose Reyes to lead off, and he takes the fastball for a strike.
Well, he had a great minor league career.
Yes.
Had a great second half for the Cubs.
Reyes hitting .462 as a right-hand batter, and there's that curveball, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, power fastball and a power big hook, a la Barry Zito. Just he throws a little harder than Zito. Swing over the top by Reyes.
The Mets have hit lefties better than any team in the major leagues by far. And Reyes and Beltran, switch hitters who've generally been better left than right, have been at the forefront. Curve misses 1-2.
I was looking at the stats today, right, Gary? They're both 18 for 39, 462.
And tied for the league lead,
yeah.
Best hitters against lefties. Damian Easley on deck. Fastball on the inside corner, and Reyes not happy with Chad Fairchild's call.
Pretty good pitch with 2 strikes after all those curveballs and staying away. Look at the catcher set up in. Beautiful. That's just good pitching right there.
Well, it's such a big curveball that you kind of get put to sleep a little bit, and he surprises you with that fastball. But maybe Reyes was right. Looked like it could have been a couple inches in.
So 1 out and nobody on. Here's Damian Easley, 1 for 6 in this series, and he takes a strike.
You know, Keith, I think it has something to be said, too. Reyes is out there at shortstop that first half of the inning, and Fairfield isn't calling anything for strikes. And then thought that he had a small strike zone when he went up to hit.
Easley takes on the inside corner, and it's 0-2.
Well, that's pretty much the same pitch right there.
Damion certainly not pleased.
Yep, he's going to give that. That's a little closer.
You got to go easy because tensions are running high with you've been waiting 3 hours.
Well, maybe it took Fairchild being hit in the chin to realize that, hey, you're supposed to have a big strike zone when these games start late. And the curveball misses 1 and 2.
Well, they always say to umpires have a small strike zone. Punch a hole in that mask. Well, maybe that did.
I mean, there is a day game tomorrow, and you would expect everybody to be a little bit on speed up tonight. And that not called a strike, and it's 2 and 2.
You saw that graphic right there. 339 against left-handers. The Mets hitting as a team. Boy, they're 7 and 3 against left-handers this year also.
And that guy's had a lot to do with it. Beltran far better from the right side this year. Easily lines one foul.
He reminds me a lot Hill, Ronnie, and he's got notice number 53, Don Drysdale's number.
Yep.
He reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you folks remember, but Charlie Leibrandt for the Cincinnati Reds, Kansas City Royals. A big shoulder lift.
3 and 2 to Easley. Leibrandt was the guy who gave up Kirby Puckett's home run in Game 6 of the '91 series. That sent it on to Game 7.
And he was also part of that World Championship Royal team that beat the Cardinals. Was that 85? I believe it was.
Yes.
In the air along the left field line, a long run for his Turris, the shortstop, but he can't get there. Slow track, and his Turris could not reach it. The ball stayed in the air a long time.
Well, it's the golden triangle here, where all three converge. There's your triangle. No one gets it.
And it looks a little heavy out there.
Well, remember, that's where they dump a lot of the water from the tarp after it's been on the field. So,
I mean, the outfield drains extraordinarily well, but the warning track certainly gets heavy. And
well, they invested all that money in that irrigation system out there. The drainage system, excuse me.
It's the opposite, right?
yeah.
Yes. I always, you know, Fred, why didn't you do it when we played? There's a swamp out there in right field.
Well, remember they had the drains they used to pull up out of the ground to let the water go down? Not anymore. Now they dump the water on the outfield grass off the tarp, and the water just disappears.
Yeah.
Curveball in there, and Easley knew it. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hill to start the night.
And more interesting, both strikeouts looking. That's the kind of stuff that Rich Hill has. Not only is it a good curveball, not only does he have a good fastball, but he does a good job of setting up the hitters.
And the Rico defense quickly for the Cubbies. It's the same lineup as last night, the same set of characters out there. Ward, Tirios, Torres, Ramirez, Barrett, Soriano, Jones. Take it away, Gary.
Beltran pops the first pitch up, and his Turris retreats. And with Soriano at his back, his Turris has it. And Rich Hill has himself a 1-2-3 inning. So 1 inning complete after all these hours. No score. We go to the second inning on our Kia Wednesday game of the week. Jorge Sosa looking to make it 3 wins in 3 starts as he takes on Darrell Ward to start the second inning. Ward got his first start of the year last night and made it a good one. Takes a strike from Sosa.
Oh, Ward is their premier left-hand pinch hitter off the bench. He's getting his starts here in New York because of Derek Lee's neck spasms.
Lee is not even here and has remained in Chicago throughout the series. Had an MRI done on that neck and opted to stay back in Chicago and miss this 4-game series. Slap to third. Right with the overhand toss, 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on.
Well, you know, we're talking about 2 different pitchers. You have Sosa, who's a slider pitcher, And Rich Hill's got a good curveball. Now with a slider, let's say you're going to hold it with the seams. A slider, you want to throw it almost like a football, all right? When you release it, you just hold the grip and you kind of pull down on it. You get that nice little tight spiral. But with a curveball, there's a couple things you have to do. With the grip again, you want to catch this seam and you want to be limp-wristed. Catch that. Catch that first seam and roll over with the thumb. So catch it with the seam, roll over with the thumb, nice and loose, and you get that good snap. So stiff-wristed with the slider, nice loose-wristed with the curve.
Limp-wristed?
Limp-wristed.
I like that.
You got to wait till 12 to get there.
Which pitch is harder for a pitcher to master?
A curveball, absolutely. I think you can teach anyone how to throw a little slider. But the curveball, and to be able to control it because it has so much more break, and you have to be able to pick a spot on the hitter. You'll see guys all the time. We've shown it. We have relievers out there working on their curveball. And why do they have one of their mates in the batter's box?
Barrett lifts one to left, and Gomez not having to move. 2 out.
They'll have one of their pitching mates in the batter's box because they're going to pick a spot for a curveball off the hitter. So say right-hander is throwing and they have Bill Smith in there. They want to throw it right at his shoulder and break it down over the plate. That's why you want a spot you can throw that curveball off of.
Here's Jacques Jones. 2 for 5 last night, including a double. The Cubs had 15 hits in the game last night against John Maine in the bullpen.
You know, getting back to that curveball, Ronnie, I still can't get over that interview with Koosman we had when he just said all he did was just throw it as hard as he could and throw it for the middle. That's just amazing to me. Well, the great curveball that he had.
He had that kind of talent. You know, I mean, he had the kind of curveball that you could just throw it hard and down the middle. Most guys had to try to, you know, try to get it near the corner.
Two and one to Jones. Did you hit one pitch better than the other, curve versus slider?
Well, it depends on the quality of the curve or the slider.
Let's say equal quality. Would you rather face a quality slider or a quality curveball? Hold that thought. Delgado makes the play. Jones retired. 1-2-3 inning for Jorge Sosa. We'll hear about Keith and the breaking ball when we come back. Still no score. Home second inning. Carlos Delgado leads off against Rich Hill, who got the Mets 1-2-3 in the first. Delgado's actually hit lefties better than righties so far this season, as he struggles out of his early season funk.
Well, 310 against lefties, but no home runs.
Pulls that one hard with foul.
Oh,
she had the surgery. They've been promoting that surgery for months. Hadn't seen anybody who had it.
Well, there you go. And the power numbers are down for Carlos right now.
Fouls off the curve ball, and it's 1-2. So what about the curve and the slider?
Oh, I forgot.
So quickly?
I would rather face a slider from a left-hander because basically it doesn't break down as much. You can kind of stays on the same horizontal plane. From a right-hander, I'd rather face a curve.
Coming into you.
Oh, down and in.
Delgado goes down at the curve ball. Third strikeout for Rich Hill. You know, Hill 2 years ago averaged 13.4 strikeouts per 9 innings in the minor leagues.
Number 5.
Well, look at that, just buckled Carlos.
Well, see the grip. You see that left ring finger. He gets it way low on the ball. And that little tilt of the shoulder allows him to get on top of that. And then he just really, that's a good hammer.
So Hill off to a fast start. He's retired the first 4, striking out 3. And here's David Wright. Up and in.
And this is a good look at the shoulder lift. And that hides the ball from the hitter. It's an unorthodox motion.
Over the bag at third. Ramirez on the backhand. And Wright retired 2 away. Ramirez positioned perfectly against David, and there are 2 out.
The catcher, number 16.
Well, since August of last year, Hill has really kicked it in gear, and There are a couple of surprising names on that list.
Yeah.
Not just Hill, but how many fans would have identified Tom Gorzolani as one of the top 4 in baseball since last August?
And with the 0 he put up against the Mets in that first inning, now 16 straight starts without giving up a run in the first inning.
Gorzolani pitched a great game for the Pirates the other night. He's off to a very fast start for Pittsburgh. Here's Loduca hitting 6th in the order tonight. He takes the fastball for a strike. Loduca's been hot.
He had that one little hitch when he got hit in the hand in the latter part of April.
Hit hard, base hit. And Loduca's on base for the 17th, make it the 18th straight game now. And the Mets have their first base runner.
The right fielder, number 20, Sean.
What's he doing with the bat there, Keith?
Well, he's. Oh, I see what he did. Maybe we can show it again. That's a nice hitting right there. He's finding out how far away from the plate he's standing. He's made an adjustment at the plate probably as far as how far away from the plate or how close to the plate he is. And his bat is his barometer. It's his yardstick there. That's very interesting. I'd like to see that again if we could at some point. If we get a foul ball or something.
Here's Sean Greeno had a great night with the bat last night, and he's got a base hit here. So back-to-back 2-out hits for Loduca and Green, 2 out and 2 on. Sean with a double and a home run last night.
Well, good hitting here. It's a high fastball. And look at the level swing.
Number 27.
Now, I'm sure that Hill here wanted it down and away. He got it up, and that's the key to hitting a pitch up. It stayed level. And Sean Green is just, tell you, he has just been wearing it out.
His hair's starting to grow back in.
I'm very happy to hear. I'm sure his wife's more happy.
Well, here's Carlos Gomez making his second big league start. Broke in with a bang on Sunday with a couple of hits.
Everybody clap your hands.
Carlos Gomez, the 3rd youngest active player in the major leagues, behind Billy Butler of the Royals and Felix Hernandez of the Mariners. 2 on and 2 out. And the curveball misses inside. We missed it earlier. The Mets tonight are sporting the first 3 Carlos lineup in Major League history. Loop behind first base. Ward back. Base hit. Loduca scores. In at third is Green. It's an RBI single for Carlos Gomez, his first major league run batted in. 1-0 New York.
Well, nothing you can do here. This is your Texas leaguer, and it's a hang with the pitcher. And if you're the hitter, boy, if that has an RBI in it, you're extremely happy. And with 2 outs, everybody's breaking on contact here. And Sean Green hustling to third.
Gomez had a mind about going to second, but he stopped halfway and went back. Might steal second right now. Jorge Sosa has got some pop. 3 home runs last season, 1 for 4 this year. And he takes the curveball for a strike.
Well, we have another Jose Reyes on our hands here. Whoa, Nelly.
He can fly. Big cut by Sosa, and it's 0-2.
It seems to me, Ron, that Hill can be an up and down the ladder pitcher with that big down curve and that good enough gas upstairs.
The key for him is that tilt of the shoulder. He does it for both pitches, both his fastball and his curveball, so it doesn't give either pitch away.
And the curveball misses. 1-2 to Sosa. 3 straight 2-out hits. Loduca, Green, and Gomez to play to run here in the second. Larry Rothschild, the Cubs pitching coach, has done a terrific job with Hill and Jason Marquis this year. And Sosa goes down on the fastball to end the inning. 4 strikeouts for Hill, but the Mets break on top, stringing together 3 straight 2-out hits. Carlos Gomez with his first big league RBI.
Number 3, Cesar Izturis.
Jorge Sosa stake to a 1-0 lead as we go to the third at Shea. Game delayed 3 hours and 7 minutes at the start by rain. And we've got news.
Yes.
Let's read this directly. As an accommodation for the inconvenience caused by today's weather, the Mets are offering all ticket holders for tonight's game the opportunity to receive complimentary tickets for their choice of one of 3 games, June 18th, 19th, or 20th, all those games against the Minnesota Twins. And we'll tell you how you go about doing that. Cesar Torres takes a strike.
That's nice.
You need to mail your tickets to the Mets ticket office, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. Include your name, address, and date-time telephone number. Indicate your first and second choice of games. Complimentary reserve tickets will be issued subject to availability. Tickets must be received by Monday, June 4th. This offer is by mail only, and the Mets thank all their fans for their support and understanding. Cesar Torres takes it wide, and it's 2-1.
How about that? Get a good team, too. Johan Santana might pitch that weekend. Justin Morneau, AL MVP.
Joe Mauer should be back by then. Torres lines one and low bridges Sosa. And there's the first Chicago hit. And he nearly took Sosa with him.
Well, it's Torres here. Nice level cut. Oh, slider didn't get in enough.
The pitcher, number 53, Rich Hill.
Just didn't break as much, I think. It's a little lazy break there, huh, Ron?
Yeah, good job by Torres, just taking it right back up the box.
He now has a 9-game hitting streak. And so the tying run aboard. Hill will be up there to bunt. 1 hit, 1 sacrifice this year. Wright comes charging in hard. And it's up and away, 1-0. Well, that's amazing. That's in his first 2 starts. No hits with runners on base. And that's a good way to be a successful pitcher. Hill gets the bunt down, very nicely done, and Delgado makes the play to Easley. So 3-4 on the sacrifice, moving his Torres to second.
Well, good form here. Hill with those knees bent, bat out in front. Ball came in a little bit, kind of deadened. See those fingers? They're behind the bat, although the blue part, those last 3 fingers seem to be in front, but you want those 2 to be pinching the bat on the top of the bat there. Just for that's can't get any better than that bunt right there. Perfect.
So the tying run in scoring position for Ryan Theriot, and LaDuca wants to talk about the signs with Sosa.
Yes, I think they want to make sure they're on the same page. This is the first runner in scoring position where they got to go through their codes. Just making sure that they're both on the same wavelength there.
Theriot is hitting .400 this year with runners in scoring position. That's in the top 6 in the league. Theriot has started about half the games. He's played second, short, third, left field. With the feeling, though, he's going to play more. Good day for the tongue depressor.
Haven't seen that in a while.
Did they have the scraper at the back of the mound when you were playing?
Yes, they did. They did, but didn't really work.
No, it was rubber.
It was horrible.
It was just a waste of time.
It was.
There it is. It was a waste of time.
Tongue depressor has always been the best way to get the spikes off the bottom of your cleats. And one of the things you can do also.
On 2-0, Theriot takes high, and Sosa in a 3-0 hole.
If you take some, just lightly, some Vaseline and put it on the spikes, it won't stick to it as much.
Really?
Yeah, good trick. You didn't know that?
I did not know it.
Yeah. I wouldn't use the Vaseline on the ball now. That was just on the bottom of my foot.
Are you sure?
I am never ever cheated.
3-1 to Theriot.
The one thing you didn't want to do, Gary, is if you had spikes that were the spikes were worn a little bit on a wet day, and the mud you had to go in and get your spikes that were the newest, had the longest spike, because you can slip and slide out there.
Infield moving around. And Theriot check swing foul ball, 3-2. I've never seen a pitcher who hated pitching in the rain or the mud more than Al Leiter. Al would look miserable out there, and what he'd do, he'd stand there and he'd jump in the air and bang his feet together. He had no idea.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do just, he's kind of a hyper guy anyway. So the wait in the clubhouse for 2.5 hours is like a caged animal.
You wouldn't want to be near him in those hours, I'm sure. 3-2 to Terrio with 1 out. Breaking ball toward the middle. Reyes runs it down and guns down Terrio for the 2nd out as his tourist moves over to 3rd.
Well, Ronnie, you're right. When you told me about Sosa, he likes his breaking ball. He's predominantly a breaking ball pitcher.
Well, what always happened to him, Keith, he gave up all those home runs. He does throw hard. Last game, he's not throwing as hard tonight, though. The last game, he was throwing 92, 93 miles an hour. And a lot of times when you throw hard, you always want to go back to that gift when you're behind. And I think what he's done since he's gone down to New Orleans is he's taken a lot of that macho out of his game and said, hey, listen, when I'm behind, I'm going to have to throw sliders to be successful.
So Floyd walked his first time up. And he takes a strike. Well, Sosa has seen the heights, and he's felt the depths the last 2 seasons.
Well, that 2005 season, he was in and out of trouble and just pitched himself out of so many jams. I remember Bobby Cox told me. But last year it caught up with him.
One to Floyd. I go back to, even though he's 30 years old, he's relatively new to pitching. Spent 6 years as an outfielder in the Rockies organization before he finally came to the big leagues with Tampa Bay as a pitcher with virtually no experience. And I think he's still learning.
Well, the problem with that is he's 30 years old, and it's just too bad that there wasn't an earlier move for him.
1-1 to Floyd. Pulled on the ground, but right at Easley. And so Sosa able to work around a leadoff hit in the 3rd inning and keep a 1-0 lead. Sosa's been a revelation for the Mets. Well, finally we get to our Aflac trivia question. It was a great night for Ducks. Aramis Ramirez, the 2nd Cub to hit a grand slam at Shea. Are you kidding me? Only the 2nd Cub to hit a grand slam at Shea?
Wow, really?
They've been coming in here since 1964. That's 44 years. Only 2 grand slams. That's amazing.
It's that Met pitching.
Reyes took a call 3rd strike his first trip. And the fastball misses from Rich Hill, 1-1. Hill has fanned 4 over the first 2 innings. But the Mets have a 1-0 lead on Carlos Gomez's RBI single. And Reyes watches the fastball for a strike, 1-2.
I think Jose was caught looking for the old curve. And he got a fastball.
We don't see him take the fastball too often.
There's the curve. Slap to 3rd. Nice pickup by Ramirez. He spikes the throw, but it's in time. Wow, what a play by Aramis Ramirez to get Reyes for the 1st out.
Well, defense, defense, defense. And with Reyes' speed, he knows he's got to hustle here. And this is not an easy pick. Darrell Ward has made some nice plays in this series at first base. But that's a beautiful backhand.
So 1 tough out, and here's Damian Easley and takes the curve inside. You know, you used to see that bounce throw all the time on artificial turf.
Yes.
But I wouldn't think anybody would do that on purpose on grass, would they?
If you can't make the throw, I would much rather get a long hop. And a lot of guys do it here, and this is a long hop. You don't like it on a wet day because the grass is wet and the ball will scoot. But I'd much rather get a long hop, Gary. If an infielder felt more comfortable throwing me a long hop, that's a piece of cake. That's like catching a regular throw.
Even on grass.
Even on grass.
And Easley walks on 4 pitches, the first given up by Rich Hill.
The center fielder, Carlos Beltran.
Willie Randolph going over and talking to Jorge Sosa after he came in the last inning.
Something about his motion, Ron? Or
I think he would let Rick Peterson talk about his motion. I bet you he's telling him he might be tipping off his pitches a little bit, or maybe Willie has seen something where he's tipping off one of his pitches because he was describing how he's standing on the rubber at one point and standing on a different point. So
it looked like he was saying from the stretch.
yeah, from the, old hitters will see that. They look for that kind of thing. None better than your buddy of mine, Rusty Staub.
Now, what I find fascinating about that is that teams will obviously look for signs from the opposite team, but are they looking at their own players too to pick things up?
Absolutely, absolutely. I used to get Rusty to watch me. I said, Rusty, I think I might be tipping off my pitches. See if I am, and he would watch me.
Beltran lines a base hit. Easley to second. Soriano cuts it off, and Easley will hold right there. Beltran with a scorcher, and the Mets have their 4th hit of the night.
Well, we're talking about how much better Beltran is hitting from the right side this year. It's a ball he probably would rather go the other way, but he's more of a pull hitter right-handed. That pitch was outside, but boy, he stayed nice and level.
Soriano almost ran past that ball.
It's an adventure out there in left field.
He's thrown a runner out at home, and he's dropped the pop-up.
So here's Delgado with 2 aboard. Carlos struck out on the curveball his first time up. And he gets the fastball, and he holds up.
Well, here's Soriano knowing he has to hurry to cut it out. Oh, boy.
It's not the way they teach you, is it?
And it's wet out there, too.
Yeah.
Never visits to the mound for Michael Barrett, who has spent considerable time out there with Rich Hill tonight.
Well, I think it's a good time for him to talk to this young pitcher, Rich Hill. It's just like, hey, the runners are on base. Don't. The first fastball run was upstairs.
Yes.
Hey, stay within yourself. Don't try to do too much.
Infield playing pretty much straight up against Delgado, more so than usual. And it's 2-0 to Carlos.
Sometimes you can get out of sorts with a young pitcher just because of it's a long rain delay. I mean, you know, 3-hour rain delay. Although Rich Hill grew up in Massachusetts, pitched at University of Michigan. He's pitched in some bad weather before.
Now he's behind Delgado 3-0. A walk would fill the bases for David Wright. Now, if you've been struggling like Delgado, you more inclined to think about swinging 3-0?
Not with a left-hand pitcher out there. I think I would lefty-lefty matchup. I'd put the take on.
And he takes a strike, 3-1.
Now it's important that when you get a 3-0 pitch, don't just sit there and lollygag up the plate. Take your stride like you're going to hit it, so you get a good look at the ball.
On 3-1, Delgado dribbles it foul.
Carlos has just been out in front all year. Look at his feet here. You see, he's out in front, and watch. He's not hitting the ball out here instead of up here, up at the plate. And that's been his problem this year.
3-2. The runners hold. Inside ball 4, and the bases are loaded for David Wright. Second walk of the inning issued by Rich Hill. Vanella saw his team lose a game on walks on Monday night.
Third baseman, David Wright.
So a big opportunity for David, who had his 7-game hitting streak stopped last night. Grounded out to third base his first trip tonight. Rich Hill, 27 years old. Cubs have been waiting for him for a couple of years, and he has finally emerged this season. But in a jam right now. David pounds one foul. A Wolverine from the University of Michigan, by way of Milton, Mass.
Another lefty, Mark Mulder, the St. Louis Cardinals from University of Michigan.
Never liked those football helmets.
Popped up. Terrio retreats. Makes the catch. Here comes Easley trying to score, and the throw not in time. That's the second time on this homestand we've seen a player alertly score from third base on a pop-up to the second baseman. This time it goes in favor of the Mets.
Watch Terrio here. The mistake he makes is he's calling it off. Watch him call it off early. There's a runner on third base. Don't backpedal. I know it's a tough play, but he's in no position to throw, and you would hope that Cliff Floyd can come in and make this play, but Cliff is playing way too deep. That's a tough chance, but you just don't want to get start backpedaling.
You know, Willie Randolph was talking about that same play with Ruben Gotay on Saturday, that as a young player, you've got to learn that you have to sprint out for that ball to get yourself in better position. The runners go. The pitch up high. Barrett's throw not in time. A double steal for Beltran and Delgado. And why wouldn't you throw the ball to second base? You got Beltran stealing third and Delgado going to second.
Well, second baseman's covering second, too. And I just think it's a surprise. The surprise. Let's see if they would have had Delgado.
Maybe not.
Maybe not is right.
Now they'll walk LaDuca to refill the bases. So Delgado gets a rare bag. Beltran 6th of the year and his first in a while. For Delgado, his first stolen base since 2002. 5 years.
Just hasn't had the opportunity, Gary.
Just hasn't had Beltran stealing in front of him.
We're going to watch. Not a big lead. Just the speed. Now, excuse me. There's so many Carloses in this lineup. Beltran has said in the paper that he's fought through his tender quad, and right there is a good sign that he's feeling pretty good in his legs.
Luz has put LaDuca on to face Green, who had a base hit to left his first time up. Mets with a 2-0 lead and looking for more. And the curveball in for a strike. That jellied the leg.
Boy, he's got a nice hook. 71-mile-an-hour curveball, it says in the stadium. That's a slow hook.
Bases loaded. Pulled him down to first base and handled by Ward. They'll take it to the bag to end the inning. But the Mets tack on a run. Easley scoring from third on David Wright's sacrifice fly to the second baseman. Delgado with his first steal in 5 years, and the Mets are up 2-0. Mets now with a 2-0 lead for Jorge Sosa on our Kia Wednesday game of the week, which will soon be the Kia Thursday morning game of the week. It's a little late for cotton candy, isn't it?
Oh. Wow.
She's just trying to stay up with that sugar.
That'll get her up. Here's Soriano leading off, and he pulls it down to right and makes a nice backhand play. And Delgado off the bag for the tag. 1 out. Superb play by David Wright to get Soriano.
Well, yes. That's right. One step to his right. Nice backhand. Delgado makes a nice tag on the throw a little up the line. But this saves a double right there.
That's the kind of tag where you can hurt your arm.
Yeah.
Strike to Aramis Ramirez, who was taking all the way or something.
Yeah. Now, Ramirez has a lot of, for lack of a better word, style to his type of play. When he popped up in his first at bat, he didn't run it out. I don't know.
You hate that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that, you know, that kind of body language you don't need.
Well, you know, it's always played that way.
Yeah.
2-2 to Ramirez. Well, you would think with Piniella as his manager that stuff wouldn't go over real well for a long period of time.
Give him a year. Give him a couple of years.
Well,
I mean, Ramirez is going to be there. He just signed a 5-year deal. The center field, Beltran retreating. 2 out.
Just a little bit of an uppercut right there. Got it in enough to get him.
Wasn't sure whether he should run or not.
Yeah.
Just run.
Yeah, and you know, as we're saying that, I mean, the ball was blistered. He's got tremendous talent. Saw that great defensive play. Saw that line drive to center right there. But it's a different. There's a better way to go about your business. How about that?
Darrell Ward takes ball one. Well, haven't we seen the same with Miguel Cabrera?
Yeah.
Similar kind of approach.
The problem with Cabrera is that he's the oldest, not the oldest guy, but he's the senior guy on that young Florida team. So.
Yeah, but Ramirez has enough stripes as far as time in the big leagues, and
yeah,
and like Gary said, you know, you got a guy signed to a 5-year deal. You know, sometimes management doesn't support the manager.
In hard, Easley to his left, can't make the play. Time to recover, throws wide and off the bag. Delgado, and safe at first is Ward. Now Easley had more time than he thought he did, but he made the errant throw, and Delgado couldn't hold the bag.
Well, he just opened the floodgates too early, recovered nicely.
The catcher, Michael Barrett.
The throw is not that bad, and the footwork by Delgado there at first base. He's not in a position right there to make the throw, but we know that Carlos is.
Wait a second, did he have him?
Let's see.
I'm not sure. Michael Barrett swings and misses. Well, they've charged an error on Easley on the throw. See if we get a better angle on that foot.
Might be on that bag, huh?
Could be. Easley with another opportunity. Handles this one cleanly, and that ends the inning. So Sosa works around the 2-out error, and he's still got the lead 2-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th.
Tony Basil.
Rich Hill faces the Mets in the bottom of the 4th. Mets leading 2-0. Hey, Mickey.
That's right. That was me with the. Is it Basil or Tony Basil?
I think you got it right.
Basil, yeah.
Perfectly.
She was a songwriter. That was her only hit as a singer.
A medley of her greatest hit. Carlos Gomez drove in his first big league run with a bloop single in the 2nd. Thinks about a bunt. Takes ball 1 from Hill. Gomez now a .500 hitter in the big leagues, 3 for 6. Keep that up. Go to the Hall of Fame. Corners are in against him. He fights that one off. 1-1.
Well, we're going to show you the last play right here. Now, watch, they've got to freeze it, guys. See how he's fronted to the second baseman. You'd want to have your right foot straddling the bag. And he's a right-handed thrower. And, excuse me, it would be my backhand. So I would, my left foot would be on the bag. And I would stride out with my right foot. My left foot would be on the bag. Now, he is a right-hand thrower. He's got to stretch with the forehand. It's difficult to say, but it's the footwork wasn't that great there. He wasn't straddling the bag.
And hard caught by Ramirez. What a play! Second outstanding play in the field by Aramis Ramirez as he took a double away from Carlos Gomez.
Well, that's just great play we've seen now. The third fine play by the third baseman tonight in this ball game. 2 by Ramirez, 1 by Wright. And this takes away a double, a second double of the year it would have been for young Carlos Gomez.
Also, I think because of that big curveball that comes down and into righties, it seems like he's playing a step closer to the line.
Here's Sosa, who takes the fastball inside. Yeah, he's been positioned perfectly toward that line tonight.
Well, when you got a guy, to me, it's almost like Sid pitching here with a slow curveball and a good fastball. Wally would always tell me on a left-hand hitter when a curveball was coming, no matter what. If it was Ronnie pitching or if Ronnie threw a splitter, anything off speed. When Ronnie released the ball, Wally would yell my name, only to a left-hand hitter, because that's the off-speed pitch, or the curveball is the pitch a hitter's more inclined to pull. And I would just shift wherever I was in the field around two steps to the line.
Sosa watches the curveball wide, and it's 2-2.
And it happens on the other half of the infield. The shortstop tells the third baseman, because the second baseman and shortstop can see the signs. They know what the pitch is. Third and first can't see.
3-2 to Sosa. Well, it's like when Al Leiter was pitching for the Mets, and he'd throw that cutter inside. He'd get so many ground balls to the third baseman. Just keep that ball in on his hands. Broken bat grounder. Hill eludes the bat, and his Turris throws out Sosa 2 away.
I remember you'd go into Cincinnati, you see the rest of that bat there, Keith, and Davey Concepcion would always whistle when there was a breaking pitch to his third baseman. So that's what you'd hear the entire game on the field, is Davey Concepcion whistling.
And you don't want to tip it off to the hitter because they're looking. Wally would always put his glove in his face after every pitch to hide his face, so they wouldn't know if he was saying keep. But at the point when the ball's ready to leave the pitcher's hands, hitter's concentration is on the ball.
Reyes bloops one, shallow right. In comes Floyd, and Cliff can't get there. And Reyes is safe at first. Nice recovery by Terrio to get to that ball and prevent Reyes from going to second.
Well, I must say, this is a typical Cub team, full of hit. They're not hitting right now that great, but the Cubs were never great defensive teams. They always were a team that can slug with you. Never had quite the pitching to get there, but their defense was never one of their things that they tried to build their club around.
So Reyes aboard with 2 out, not running, and the pitch right at Easley's feet.
Well, nice play by Michael Barrett here, and that's just a nice pick.
Yes.
That's good hands.
Yeah, there's nothing else he could do, though. He could never get his body in front of that one.
Going back to that previous play, Cliff Floyd is not a right fielder.
And Cliff Floyd is not 25 years of age anymore, or 28.
And he's playing very, very deep in this series. Easley gets on one, deep to left field. Back goes Soriano, and it's out of here! Over the bullpen in left field. Number 6 for Damian Easley. A 2-run shot makes it 4-0 New York. Six home runs in 61 at-bats for Damian Easley. He's like Babe Ruth.
Well, you just don't want to throw him. We said he's a high ball hitter. And all you kids out there that are in love with home runs, you don't have to swing up to hit a home run. He is a level swinger on that high pitch. And you can see right here, if we can let it go now with a follow through, watch the plane of the bat. Look at that level. That is a level swing. And then you get under it a little bit. That's the ball you hit over the bullpen.
1-1 to Beltran. Well, Damian Easley has been a revelation, and you think about the pickups that Omar Minaya has made the last couple of years. It's stunning. And that one goes behind Beltran.
That's curveball inside. That's just a case of a young pitcher with 3-hour rain delay, a little rattled here at 11:22, trying to overthrow.
Now look at that. Look at the top hand come over. Look at the plane of the bat. That ball was almost thrown by him. That's the always trust the quickness of your hands. Trust the quickness of your hands.
3-1 now to Beltran.
This is just a terrific angle. This ball almost beats him. And look at him rush it. And so many hitters, and myself, you just have faith in your quickness of your hands.
Beltran grounds one down to Ramirez. That ends the inning, but Damian Easley puts a charge into another one. Well over 400 feet worth of his 6th home run of the year, a 2-run shot to give the Mets a 4-0 lead.
Good Lord, 6 home.
Jorge Sosa now 4 runs to the good. He's given up just 1 hit in the first 4 innings, and Jock Jones takes a breaking ball for a strike. 3 cheers for the red, white, and blue. That'll keep the rain off your head. sure if the people sitting next to you would be all that pleased.
Maybe only one cheer for the lid.
Jones grounded out to first his first trip. He flares one foul, 1-2. Ronnie, does it seem as though every night we've got pitchers taking no-hitters in the 6th and 7th inning?
Oh, we had Hamels earlier. That didn't work out. Perfect through 6.
Got another one going in the American League tonight. And the fastball beats Jones. Second strikeout for Jorge Sosa. Time for a baseball night in New York update. Let's go to the studio and Chris Connor.
Hey guys, Gary, you just mentioned it. Hamels with the perfect game into the 7th, walked the batter, and then J.J. Hardy does this to him. Takes him deep, 2-run homer. Shutout gone, no hitter gone, but not the win. Phil's win at 6-2.
All right, Chris, and here's Cesar Izturis, who takes strike. Meanwhile, in Oakland, Odalis Perez for the Kansas City Royals has a no-hitter through 5. I mean, isn't it supposed to be a hitter's world these days? The problem with all these no-hit bids, and Mark Burley threw one earlier in the year, but most of these pitchers don't ever go 9.
Yeah, the managers are like, what do I do now?
Right. I mean, you had Sean Markham with Toronto pulled after 6 innings with a no-hitter going. It was his first start.
Do you ask your pitcher? Do you want a no-hitter, son? I'll leave you in if you want.
Preston Gomez didn't ask Clay Kirby.
That's true. San Diego.
Kirby was behind in the game, so that's a little different.
Preston Gomez.
Izturis to center field, shallow for Beltran. And there are 2 out. So Sosa rolling right along, 2 out and nobody on. Time for our Ask the Booth. Why don't you guys answer this?
Is that Ariel? Ariel, Gary doesn't want a day off. Gary is, like Yankees come to town this weekend, we get Saturday, Sunday off, so does Gary. This network, Gary's up just furious.
You know where I'll be Saturday.
He's coming to the game on Saturday.
Sitting in the stands with my family.
He's got nothing better to do.
And even if I did. Rich Hill takes a strike and it's 0-2. He'll sacrifice his first time up. Well, there was a time when I did all 162, so this is easy.
You don't like the fact that you can't do the playoffs. That's driving you crazy.
I did my inning last year. It was great. And he's catching everything. Sosa's been great. 1 hit through 5 and a 4-0 Met lead. That's 4 runs and 6 hits off Rich Hill.
Well, there's 2 different ways of trying to go about it. When you see Rich Hill, he's got that big shoulder upswing, big front elbow, almost peering over his shoulder. Just the opposite for Jorge Sosa, almost looking underneath his armpit. And Rich Hill delivers, chin up, chin down. The one on the right, Jorge Sosa, is more traditional. It makes sense. Starting as an infielder, wanted to make something real simple for him to learn.
Didn't Sosa on that shot right there kind of remind you a little bit like Gossage with that rearing back and firing?
That's right.
Dono fouls one back, and it's 1-1.
Well, here's Delgado on the swing. The take back. He's just, look, he's already opened up. He's already opened his hips up a little bit and is turning his, so it's getting out in front. That's been his problem. Needs to tuck that front hip in a little more, but he hits open with the open stance.
In the air to shallow left for Soriano. 1 away.
This is a good angle right here. This is much better. But see how he's already moving forward. He's moving too much forward with the swing. Then he tries to bring it back, and it's too late. It's like in golf, if you get out in front, open up too quick, you're going to slice it. The same thing in baseball. It's just basically a similar swings, but baseball's more in a horizontal plane. Golf's more in a vertical plane.
David Wright picked up an RBI on a pop fly to the second baseman his last time up. Easley scoring from third as Terrio caught it while backpedaling. And Wright drives one to left field and a base hit. Wright, who had a 7-game hitting streak and last night, gets another one started. And the Mets have their 7th hit off Rich Hill.
Well, watch David here. The shoulder in. It's still a ball away. And a good top hand. I love this angle. Good. That's a ball David, when he's hot, goes right center field with. And that's been a little bit of the difference this year. And it's been a struggle for David. David really hasn't gotten in the hot streak yet. And for that matter, neither is Delgado.
So Duca takes a curve for a strike. Ball is singled and walked tonight. Well, Rich Hill had his first really bad start in his last outing against the Phillies. 5 runs in 5 innings, and getting touched up again tonight. That's hit some balls hard. Wright runs, curveball outside, and no throw from Barrett. Wright is now 8 for 8 stealing bases this year.
Well, he stole 3 the other day, and he got a good pitch to steal on the slow curve. It's not a big lead.
If you're a base stealer and you got a pitcher on the mound with a slow curve like that, are you guessing curveball situations to run?
Well, you're not talking to a base stealer here. I would think, hope that you're going to get a slow curve, and the odds are you might get one. But I think right there, left-handers are easier to steal off of than right-handers because you can take a chance. Okay, he's going to break from the belt. I'm going to go. If he goes home, I got it. If he comes over, I'm picked off.
Sometimes if you're picked off, you can still steal the base. Curveball pulled foul.
Oh.
Into one of the few parts of the ballpark that is fully populated.
That's going to leave a mark.
Seen something new with Paul. Watch what he does with his bat. Outside corner with the end of his bat, and then at where the length of his bat is in the handle, that's how far away he wants his back foot. So it's a barometer for him, or a yardstick for him, to get how far he wants to be away from the plate. And my feeling is, and I said it after his first at bat in the 2nd inning, is that he's made an adjustment. He's moved either a little closer to the plate or a little farther away, and he has to make sure he's in the right spot because it's not normal for him. I mean, I knew when I got to the plate, I knew how far to go, how close, how far, without having to do that. But if I had made an adjustment, that's a good way to make sure you're in the right position. Hitting with a slightly open stance.
2-2 in the air to left field, deep toward the corner. Soriano, and he runs it down in that deep corner. Back to second goes Wright, 2 away.
Well, long way to run for Soriano. That's the tough part of the play, covering the ground, but it's a routine fly ball. And Wright does the right thing with 1 out here, because if the ball drops, he can score.
There's also no other left fielder in baseball that you go that far on. You go that far because you're not sure if he's going to come up with a play.
Here's Sean Green, who's hit the ball hard twice tonight, a single and a ground out. Sean, the last couple of days, has really scorched some balls.
He's getting used to his haircut.
You know, Keith, you were talking about LaDuca with the open stance. It was very funny. They played one of the old Met games during the rain delay. And Gary and I were watching, and Mookie Wilson was up, and Mookie had the most distinct closed stance you'd ever see from the right side. He's batting right-handed, and that's something that if you did do that, a hitting coach would stop you from doing that probably.
Well, you used to see closed stances, though,
all
rather
the time,
routinely. Now you never see it. Why is that?
There's a philosophy behind all this, and I kind of agree. It makes sense. If your dominant eye for a left-hander is your right eye, then you can hit closed and vice versa for a right-hand hitter. But if your dominant eye is your left eye, they want you to face the pitcher more. Which, when you have an open stance, it enables you to face the pitcher more so your left eye can take over. My dominant eye is my right eye.
When we were kids, we used to laugh at Dick McCullough. Remember him with the Tigers? He had that wide open stance, but nobody did in those days. Good curveball. It's 2-2 to Green.
How about Nellie Fox?
It's a little before my time.
Okay.
You're older than me.
I'm the oldest guy here.
But you know, in the quote unquote modern era, Andres Galarraga was the guy who started facing the pitcher. And the curveball in there, and Green down looking. Good looking breaking ball from Rich Hill to get Green standing still. 5 strikeouts for Hill. Through 5, 4-0 New York. Sixth inning, Jorge Sosa working with a 4-0 lead. He's allowed just 1 hit. Third time around the batting order, and Ryan Theriot takes a strike. You know, Orlando Hernandez is probably going to throw his second simulated game on Monday and may well be ready to rejoin the Mets weekend after next. Remember, it was Sosa who took El Duque's spot in the rotation, and I think there's one thing for certain: when El Duque is ready to come back, Sosa is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Here's your Aflac trivia answer. We mentioned Aramis Ramirez, the second Cub to hit a grand slam here. The first, Lloyd McClendon.
What year was that again?
1990, I think it's. I don't even remember McClendon as a Cub.
Not on my watch.
He was you were gone.
No, he would have been there yelling at Sid with the bases loaded.
Theriot lines one to left, but right there is Gomez. 1 away. Hey, Kevin Burkhart's here. We had to wait till 20 of midnight to bring him into the broadcast. Kevin?
Hello, guys. You know, it's funny. You can't really talk about the Cubs these days without talking about Lou Piniella, even though we haven't talked about him too much tonight. So I went scrambling around the Cubs clubhouse just asking some of the players what he is actually really like to play for. A lot of the players said the media kind of plays it up, that what you see on the field isn't necessarily what you see behind closed doors. One player told me you definitely have to have thick skin, but he's honest. He tells you truthfully. I think Will Ullman said it best, though. He was comparing Dusty Baker to Lou Piniella. And he said, let me put it this way. Baker's the type of guy that would come up, put his arm around you, and kind of talk shop. Piniella's like the stern father. He would come up behind you with the stiff grip and say, that will never happen again. So a little difference, but apparently it's a little bit more toned down than we think behind closed doors.
Kevin, things a little rowdy down there tonight?
You know, they're not a lot of them down here, Gab, but they're a rowdy group. Actually, they're fired up. I'm guessing they don't have school or work tomorrow. That's why. Or if they do, they're not going.
Yes.
If you wait this long to hang out to watch the game, you're going to be pretty enthusiastic. Floyd takes a strike, and it's 0-2.
Becomes a badge of honor at some point, doesn't it? I mean, you spent many nights in this ballpark when there were rain delays. It becomes a badge of honor to stay and wait it out.
Yes.
Until mom and dad sees you on TV, and then it's all downhill from there.
And Cliff watches outside, 1-2. Well, you know, when Candlestick Park hosted baseball games, they used to hand out those quad to Candlestick for fans who sat through extra inning games, like a little pin. You mentioned a badge of honor.
Well, the Bay Area, both of San Francisco and Oakland teams, the fans love the pins. They love to put the pins on their hats.
Kevin, when this game's over, that studio is going to be shut down. Why don't you just go on home?
I was actually hoping to sleep in your car tonight, Keith. Is that okay?
And he gets him. Sosa with his 4th strikeout. Fans Floyd 2 away.
Well, again, this is that little backdoor slider that starts on the outside part, bends back over the plate, and Cliff offered at it, but never really came back over enough for Floyd to put a bat on it.
So Sosa just keeps on getting better and better. It's really stunning what we're seeing here compared to what we saw from Sosa in spring training this year. There's Soriano with 2 out, and he takes a strike.
It's absolutely amazing.
Night and day.
Who was the pitching coach down in AAA? Gary, do you know off the top of your head?
Mark Brewer. Hit deep but foul down the right side. It's 0-2. And Sosa gives him a lot of credit.
Kudos to Mark Brewer.
Yeah. Well, you see a lot of the Met pitchers, lefty or righty, like to be on that first base side if you're a right-hander, third base side if you're a left-hander.
I think that's part of Rick Peterson's philosophy. Most every pitcher, they either are on at one extreme, first base side, or the other extreme on the right, on the third base side. And with obviously right there, Sosa's on the first base side.
In the air to right field, and Sean Green standing his ground. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Jorge Sosa. He's set down 7 in a row, and he's working on a one-hitter through 6. Late and effective. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Carlos Gomez leads off. You love baseball, right? Gomez has been up twice. He hit a little pop fly, and he hit a bullet line drive. The pop fly was a hit. The line drive was an out. And he takes the curveball for a strike. Looped a single to right to drive in a run on the second. Scorched one that Ramirez made a nice diving catch on. Pulls that one foul.
You know, Keith, for a big, young 21-year-old player, he has a different kind of swing. Usually those guys have a big, long swing. He has a very short, compact cut.
You got the very widespread stance, the feet far apart, like a lot of hitters today. Kind of sits down on it a little bit, gets his feet far apart, and kind of sinks his body down in that stance.
And Keith, he looks so composed up there for a kid in his 3rd big league game. Popped up right near the mound, and Ward comes in from first to make the play. 1 away. So 1 out and nobody on. Let's go to Chris Connor, a Baseball Night in New York update. Chris?
All right, Gary, the Yanks dropped game 1 of a doubleheader in Chicago today. Game 2, top 3. Hideki Matsui fools Darren Erstad in center field, rather. Jeter and Giambi score. It's now 4-1. Yankees on top of the 8th.
Did not look like a Gold Glove effort by Erstad. Ooh. That's what happens when you play a day-night doubleheader with a rain delay in the 2nd game. Big cut by Sosa, and it's 0-1.
He's dangerous up there with that bat. That's a big rip he took right there.
You mentioned 3 home runs last year. 1-1 to Sosa, who struck out and grounded out tonight. He is having himself quite a night.
Well, the only games being played that are on the West Coast. Everything else is done.
Big cut again. It's 2-2. Well, we mentioned that Sosa is not going anywhere when El Duque is ready to come back.
Oh, when you got a big swinger like that, go up the ladder. Don't throw him a strike.
Mets will need a pitcher tomorrow, and it's certainly seeming as though it's going to be Jason Vargas. And whoever it is, they've got to already be in town.
Yes.
Because, you know, it takes a while to get here, and it's a day game tomorrow.
What's the secret?
Ball 4. I don't know. But they haven't shared. The 2007 Subway Series is coming, and SNY is live and on site at Shea with full coverage of the first Mets-Yankees battle of the year. The Subway Series on SNY coverage begins Friday at 5 only on Sportsnet New York. There are the diehards at 11:48 on a Wednesday night. 1 out and 1 on for Reyes, who takes ball 1. Reyes 1 for 3, a pop fly single his last time up. And Hill falls behind him 2-0, and Hill's pitch count getting up there now to the century mark. And there's no action yet in the Cubs bullpen, but that may be about to change. And it's 3-0.
Well, that's what happens when you pitchers want to throw a 2-0 breaking ball. If you miss, it'll put you in big trouble.
Taking all the way in a strike.
And that's purely coming from an offensive perspective, from a hitter's perspective.
Neil Cott starts to throw in the Chicago bullpen. 3-1 to Reyes. Driven foul. And it's 3-2. Damian Easley, who had a long 2-run homer his last time up, waits on deck.
Oh, tied him up. That's just, this is not a good swing, and it's just like, thank you for standing in that at bat. That little cutter in, Ron.
Yeah, beat him, but he's just so quick, such great talent. He even able to foul that off.
Oh, nice cut. Fastball away. Right on it, just under it. Nice
So he's
swing.
covered both sides of the plate now and fouled it off. What do you do next?
Well, after the 2 swings, I'm inside, not outside. The outside swing was right on.
I agree.
In the air, shallow left, and Soriano in. 2 away. And Sosa back to first. Well, here's Damian Easley, who crunched another one his last time up.
Ooh. Number 6. See, Willie said high fastball. They know.
You think word might get out soon? At 6 homers and 61 at bats. And I think every one of them's been on a high fastball, right?
They have. This reminds me of Tim Tuffle on our 86 team. Tim was a high ball hitter.
So what's the key with a guy like that, Ronnie? Is it to come up and out of the strike zone?
Yeah, up and out of the strike zone. The problem with Hill is that he is a high fastball pitcher. One of his strengths is he throws a high fastball, and then the curveball comes out of the same spot. That's what fools the hitter.
1-1 to Easley. Well, that's .607 slugging percentage. That'll keep you in the lineup. Off-speed pitch, and it's 1-2.
I mean, in the beginning of the year, Gary, Easley was getting no playing time. It was Jose Valentin at second base, and it's much like last year.
Well,
Valentin got a break and never looked back, and now Easley steps in and 6 home runs.
Same story all over again. A player who was an afterthought all of a sudden has become a primetime player.
And had to be another player that when he was shopping around what team he was trying to decide on, there had to be a lot of teams that said, you know, Damian, appreciate your play, but, you know, we don't think you're a good fit for us, because they might have thought his playing days were over. Certainly aren't. Wow.
2-2 to Damian. And he takes a little bit low, and it's 3-2. Well, there's no telling when Valentin's going to be back. I mean, his knee is not very stable right now, and you know, there's some question as to whether he'll be whole at all this year. So Easley may become even more important as the season goes along. Sosa will run with 3-2 and 2 down. And the curveball swung and missed. And Easley down swinging to end the inning. 6 strikeouts for Rich Hill. But it's been a big night for Easley and a big night for the Mets with a 4-0 lead. Well, as we approach midnight, let's check out our Toyota National League scoreboard. Marlins got 2 in the 8th to beat the Pirates. The Nationals rallied. Brian Church a 3-run double to put them over the top in a game started by Lavelle Spigner for Washington with 3 starters on the disabled list. Houston beats the Giants 2-1. Hunter Pence has been a revelation. Philly's got a great pitching performance out of Cole Hamels, who perfect game through 6. Jake Peavy fell behind early, trying to keep his team in the game for the Padres. Brandon Webb, coming off a great start, went down against Colorado. Aramis Ramirez lifts one to deep left field. Gomez back right at the wall, and he makes the catch. 1 pitch, 1 long out off the bat of Aramis Ramirez, and that's 8 in a row retired by Jorge Sosa.
Well, playing very deep, Gomez doesn't have far to go. And the key is to get back fast to the wall.
First baseman Darryl Ward.
Routine.
And 2 hands.
I like that.
Here's Darrell Ward, the last man to reach for the Cubs. He got aboard on Easley's error in the 4th. There have been only 3 base runners in this game for the Cubs. A first inning walk to Floyd, a third inning single by Asturias, and then that error. 0-2 to Ward. That is 10 consecutive batters that Sosa's thrown a first pitch strike to.
Well, we talked about 71% of the batters he's faced. He's thrown coming into the game, thrown first pitch strike. That's only going to go up.
It's a good formula for success.
Now, am I correct in assuming here in 5 days Sosa will be pitching the first game in Atlanta against his old mates? Is that how the rotation works out?
Well, there is an off day on Monday, so they have a choice. We still don't know who's pitching tomorrow.
I got to believe they're going to keep Mr. Sosa the way he's throwing in that nice little rotation.
Well, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, no.
Another success story under Rick Peterson. 2-2 to Ward. And it's a small sample. This is only his 3rd start, but you have to be impressed.
I'm impressed because of how he's doing it. A lot of times a guy can have success and you say to yourself, boy, you know, they're scoring him a lot of runs or this or that, whatever. He's throwing breaking balls on the corners. He's pitching behind the count with breaking balls. He's able to get ahead and throw fastballs for strikes, keeping the ball down, doing all those things you have to do to be successful.
I mean, 9 hits in 19 innings. That's pretty impressive.
That's scary.
He's not walking anybody. So critical.
He's walked 1 tonight. 3-2 to Ward. And he walked him.
See?
We
jinxed him.
Jay Horwitz would be very angry.
Me and my big mouth.
The catcher, Michael Barrett.
So the second walk given up by Sosa. And there's Jay.
Oh, Jay.
That hair needs to grow back in real fast.
Jay is thrilled his hair is growing back.
Nobody told Jay that public relations men do not have to succumb to team rules.
How about Ethan Wilson?
Poor Ethan.
One of Jay's assistants. Michael Barrett has flied to left and grounded out to second. Fouled away. There's Ethan.
He's devastated. He's not liking that haircut, I guarantee you.
He liked his moss.
That's right, Ethan. We're talking about you. Oh, there they are.
You got them both in the same shot.
The Bobsey twins.
That's a rarity. You know, they're not often seen together. Barrett lunges for one. Oh, and 2 to Barrett. This is high. Oh.
You're losing it.
It's midnight.
You need to go back to radio for a week.
It's midnight. Come on.
I'm worried about you.
You got to pay attention. Slowly hit. Wright plays the offbeat hop and will have to go to first as Ward moves up to second.
Well, Wright gets the in-between hop here. He wants to come in hard for the double play. He still had the force out, but he took the safety first with a 4-run lead in the 7th.
So the Cubs get a runner to scoring position for only the 2nd time in the game. And Jock Jones, who's grounded out and struck out tonight. Rich Hill has thrown 113 pitches in 6 innings. Is he coming back out?
Oh.
I saw with Zambrano that Lupinella doesn't mind pushing his pitchers, but I doubt it. Neil Kotz now has been up for a long time.
Well, they got Beltran Delgado, so
might need a fresh arm. 1-1 to Jones.
Well, Jock Jones has always had that big swing and out in front of that slider.
Work him up and away, and it's 2-1. Jock Jones, second year with the Cubs after half a dozen years in Minnesota with his running mate Torrey Hunter. They certainly have a glut of outfielders with this team, you know, by importing Soriano and Floyd this year. And they're going to have to fight for playing time. The diehards after midnight.
And, you know, none of them can play first base either. You know, with Derek Lee out maybe for a little while, they could get some at-bats there, but they don't play there. Cliff doesn't wish to play there.
There was a time when he did. Just missed. 3-2 to Jones. Of course, Cliff had that horrible injury he suffered here at Shea back in, I guess it was 95 when he was with the Expos, when Todd Hundley ran into his arm and it was broken in 7 places. And I have to tell you, having been in the stadium that day and there weren't a lot of people here, you could hear Cliff from here to Flushing.
Wow.
It was awful. And, you know, he came back and played later that year, which was stunning. You would have figured his career could have been over, but certainly his season would have been over. But he came back, to his credit. 3-2 to Jones. Struck him out. A well-deserved two-step. Jorge Sosa with 5 strikeouts, and he's got a one-hitter going through 7. What a night for Sosa. And the Mets with a 4-0 lead. Well, it was a windy, rainy day in New York, and the Mets had to wait a long time before sending Jorge Sosa to the mound, and he's made it worth it so far. A tremendous effort, helped out by a nice defensive play by David Wright. Carlos Gomez, first big league RBI. Damian Easley, yet another home run. But the big story has been Sosa, 7 innings, no runs, 1 hit. And the Mets with a 4-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Carlos Beltran leads off against the new Cub pitcher Neil Kotz. And there's his name on your lineup card.
Well, Monday night's ball game, Neil Kotz stranded 2 inherited runners when he induced Carlos Delgado to ground into a 7th inning double play, limiting opponents to a 173 batting average. He started the season with 11 consecutive scoreless innings.
Well, the Mets get the bullpen cranking. Feliciano with Smith. Sosa with 96 pitches through 7. So we'll see if he gets one more go-around. What do you think?
Yes.
Yes. Sometimes the guys just got the other team's number. You don't want to change, bring in new personnel.
Beltran gets ahead of it, pulls it foul.
These are also these 3 games, particularly this one. Now this has been his best game. They're confidence builders. This is a guy coming off a bad year, and it's a confidence builder. Just stay with them.
And you got 8 and 9 in the order coming up to lead off in the 8th. Beltran takes a slider inside, and it's 3-1. Well, you can't ask for more than what Jorge Sosa has given the Mets, filling in for El Duque. And Beltran walks to lead off in the bottom of the 7th. So Kotz walks the first man to face him. Kevin Burkhardt, where are you?
I'm up here in the stratosphere, guys, and you want to talk about dedication from these Met fans tonight. How about the fans that are up here in the upper deck and that have stayed in their seats? Angel and Millie are here, and, you know, there are other seats available. Did you ever think of maybe wandering down even 3-4 rows?
Yes, we have, but it's been a while since I've been up this high, and I just thought I'd, you know, take a view from it up here.
Now, the best part, guys, is that Millie is the one that has to work tomorrow. And she's not caring about the sleep, though. She likes the 4-0 lead. That's all that matters. They're staying in the seats they were given. Very impressive. Silly. Not sure.
Do those guys know Bob Uecker?
You guys know Bob Uecker?
Heard of him.
Well, that is dedication. I mean, I used to sit up in those seats, but if there were that much real estate in front of me,
you were coming down.
I would have
right?
moved down a long time ago.
Get on the rail at least, right?
Never forget, in '73, My buddy and I were here for the National League Championship Series. Mets and Reds. Mets were up 2-1 going to game 4. And we're sitting in one of the back rows of the mezzanine way out in right field. And with the Mets leading in the late innings, we moved all the way down to the field boxes. As Delgado loops one into center field. Beltran to second. And Delgado has his first hit of the night. And the Mets have the first 2 men on in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, you got to force yourself to get jammed if you're out in front to stay back. And Delgado had good balance there. Ball out over the plate. And this had a lot of the middle of the plate. And then if Delgado's red hot, well, he might lose it. But right now, you've got to shorten up your swing when you're not feeling good till you find your comfort zone and get into a groove. Good at bat for Delgado.
So here's David Wright with 2 men on. David with a base hit. He also has a short sacrifice fly tonight, 1 for 2. Anyway, we worked our way down to the field boxes in game 4. Of course, the Reds tied it. Pete Rose hit a home run off Harry Parker in the 12th. And we're stranded there down in the field boxes, just standing there waiting to run on the field, and never were able to. Of course, the Mets won it the next day, game 5.
If you were superstitious, you might have said to yourself, maybe we shouldn't go down there. They're ahead and we've been up in these seats. Maybe we shouldn't leave these seats.
Yeah, but in those days, it was more important to be part of the celebration.
Yeah.
You know, now, of course,
there is none.
You're not getting on the field if you're a fan. But back in the in the 70s, it was a little different.
Would you have been one of those guys that would have ripped up the grass?
I got a piece. I got my piece. Oh. In fact, I kept a piece of grass from the clincher against the Braves in '69 in the League Championship Series. Kept a piece of grass in a plastic bag in my mother's shed for about 20 years.
Wow. You Met fans, you're nuts. Absolutely out of your minds.
Wright fouls it off. I will say this. 73 was not the same as 69.
Yeah.
69, it was pure joy celebration. By 73, it was already more of a vandalism situation.
Yeah.
A little more thuggery involved. And, you know, by the time you guys got to the postseason in '86, that concept of running on the field was long past. 2-2 to Wright.
Although I believe when we clinched the division, the fans came on the field in '86.
They
Is that
did.
true?
They did.
Yeah.
Someone tried to steal my glove.
But not like thousands of people. It was just a few, right? Because in
No,
69
not
and 73,
thousands,
you had thousands of
Yeah.
people out on the field. Wright lines one foul. And on top of that one and yanked it.
Well, 69 was just a special year. I don't think America, I was on the West Coast, I don't think America knew what kind of good team the Mets were. They won 100 games that year. And no one expected them to beat the Baltimore Orioles.
No one even expected them to get to the first division that year, much less win the division. Wright pulls one over the bag and down the line. That'll get Beltran home from second. Delgado cruises into third. An RBI double for David Wright, his second hit and second RBI of the night, and it's 5-0 New York.
Well, there have been some nice plays by third basemen tonight. Ramirez hit too hard and too much down the line there. And always a treat to watch that man run.
The catcher, Paul Loduca.
So David's had himself a nice night.
So here's Loduca as the Mets are treating Neil Kotz rudely after he pitched well the other night, and Jorge Sosa just living a dream with a 5-0 lead. Now the infield comes in for Loduca, who takes it in the dirt. Loduca 1 for 2 and a walk tonight. The Mets now with 9 hits in the game. Delgado at third and Wright at second with nobody out. All 8 starting position players have a hit tonight. In the air to center. Not all that deep. But Jones drifting on it. Delgado tags at third. He comes home as the throw goes toward third. Sacrifice fly for LaDuca makes it 6-0 New York.
Well, all you need is a fly ball here. You want to get a base hit, but you'll take that. This makes it a 6-0 ball game, and Jock Jones kind of circled that one. I mean, that was just a high fly ball. He had trouble with it.
Here's Sean Green, who takes ball one. I mean, don't you want to get behind that ball if you're the center fielder? And he was just kind of going in a circle.
He surrounded it.
One and one to Green, who's 1 for 3 on the night.
Oh boy. Oh.
Game's got a little late.
They got to call those guys in the white coats.
Slowly hit. Terrio waits on it. And throws out Green for the second out as Wright moves over to third. So now there are 2 away. And here's Carlos Gomez. Gomez 1 for 3. A bloop single to drive and a run back in the second. Robbed of a double by Aramis Ramirez, who made a great play in the fourth. And Sosa is coming out on deck. So it looks like he'll get another inning. And the curveball for a strike to Gomez. And why not with a 6-0 lead?
Got a one-hitter.
Maybe have a chance to go all the way with a quick 8th. Oh, up and in with the fastball, 0-2.
Right by him. That is, dial it up a notch there.
Tried it again. It's 1-2.
Well, the only base hit in this game for the Cubs has been Cesar Esteuras back in the 3rd inning, Gary, and that was a legitimate base hit up the middle, a line drive.
And he'll be leading off in the 8th. Pulled over the bag, and that's a fair ball for Gomez. That brings home Wright. Gomez flying to second, and he's in with an RBI double. 7-0 New York. Gomez got this one past Ramirez and down the line. He has had a terrific first week in the big league.
Well, same spot as David Wright's double earlier, right down the line. Well, watch him run, folks. He can fly.
And now Sosa takes ball 1. And now Sosa with a 7-0 lead, and the only question is how far he can go on this night. Hits one well to center field. Jones going back and makes the catch. So Sosa got some good wood on that one. Carlos Gomez with his 2nd hit and his 2nd RBI of the night. And the Mets have pulled away for a 7-0 lead.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mats and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mats.
Jorge Sosa takes the mound for the 8th inning, working on a 1-hit shutout, and the man who has the only hit against him, Cesar Esteuras, will lead things off. And he takes a strike. Esteuras led off the 3rd inning, hitting one back past Sosa, low bridging him and into center field. Changeup misses 1-1.
Well, Gary showed me in between innings, if Sosa's able to complete this game, complete this shutout, he'll double his total. One complete game and 1 shutout, the 2 of each.
That came in 2003 while pitching for Tampa Bay. His lone complete game and shutout. Foul by Esteuras, and it's 2-2. Joe Smith, Pedro Feliciano staying ready as Sosa is about to deliver his 100th pitch of the night. 2. Well, this was in the 3rd leading off, and it was certainly a legit hit.
So the Mets will still not have a no-hitter in their long and storied franchise history.
Is Turris down the left field line, foul ball. Well, this is the 46th year of the franchise. Hasn't been that long. Bobby Howry up in the Cubs bullpen.
And hasn't been that storied.
You know, it would think. Well, that's not true. Come on. You're a story right here. Fouled off his foot. Might have swung at ball 4, and he pays for it.
Oh, that's one he fouled. Looked like right off his shin.
That hurts. Was off the inner ankle. Oh, the inside ankle. That hurts. It's right in the bone, and it's a bone bruise, and it hurts.
And it's 12-21.
I was going to say, if the Mets ever do throw a no-hitter, it'll probably be just like this. I'll finish it up at 1 o'clock in the morning with 100 people in the stands.
And it'll be a September call-up that no one's heard of.
Outside ball 4, and his Turris is on with Sosa's 3rd walk of the night. So Willie has to figure out how much further he wants to go with Sosa. He's got a 7-0 lead. Now let's see. Mike Fontenot had been out on deck to pinch hit, but he's gone back in the dugout. And instead it's going to be Angel Pagan. Not sure why the change in strategy.
Probably wants someone with a little more pop in his bat. Fontenot, I think, is a kind of a singles hitter. One swing, try to get 2 runs on the board. I could be overthinking here. It's after midnight.
It's 7-0.
Don't ask these tough questions.
I mean, I can see it. I can see in a 1-run game, you got one guy up there to bunt, one guy up there for power. I mean, but it's 7-0. Why can't Mike Fontenot get his one at bat?
Well, he got one. Excuse me. One last night,
and he hit the ball well.
He got a double to left field.
Willie running out to the mound, which means he'll probably not make a change. Maybe just taking the temperature on Sosa. And he is taking him out. Usually when he jogs, it's only for a message.
Wow.
But there's a nice message for Jorge Sosa from the small but enthusiastic crowd at 12:22 a.m. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon. Switch to Verizon Fios TV, internet, phone. It's the most advanced fiber optic network straight to your home. Joe Smith coming on to relieve Jorge Sosa.
All right, I'm Chris Cotter with a baseball night in New York update. Braves Nationals bottom 5-4-3 Braves, but no longer. Ryan Scherch laces this double to right field. 3 come across. Nats win 6-4. Gentlemen, I'm envious of you out there in the wee hours of Shea.
You know, we miss you, Chris. Angel Pagan takes the strike from Joe Smith.
What sausage was Chris again in Milwaukee?
I believe he was the Italian, or was he the Polish?
Was he the Polish? And he finished 4th, right?
Well, that's because he was signing autographs.
He stunk it up.
Hey, Chris, this is not to give anything away. You would be scared to death out here.
Jorge Sosa, job well done tonight. 2-1 to Pagan, who's had just 12 at-bats since being called up. Grounded down to Delgado. They'll take the play at first and get Pagan for the first out. So 1 out as Turris moves to second. Well, there was a day when, with a 7-0 lead, working on a one-hitter in the 8th inning, there wasn't a chance in the world that a pitcher was coming out of the game. But times have changed.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Times have changed. Any pitcher would want to finish up that game. One, because you very rarely get a chance to pitch a shutout. Very rarely get a chance to pitch a one-hit shutout. Complete game. You rest the bullpen for tomorrow. All those kind of things. But the game has changed, and then that's simple. Got 100-pitch mark is the benchmark, and that's it.
Ryan Theriot takes a strike.
What are you laughing at? Was that not a good point? Or
Bill Webb was in my ear about getting on my pretzel right here.
Well,
that could be
you did a good job on that pretzel.
Can we show it again, Bill? Bill, come on.
See.
See, it could be a C, it could be a U. It's late. It's 12:30.
1-2 to Terrio.
Well,
yeah, that's your excuse for everything now.
I got an hour-and-a-half ride home.
By the way, the next game starts in 12.5 hours. That's the last Mets complete game one-hitter. Aaron Heilman against the Marlins. Mets had a combined one-hitter that they lost last year in Houston. And there's still a one-hitter going here.
The last complete game one-hitter was Heilman's, right? Aaron Heilman's.
Right. 2-2 to Terrio. Did he hold? He did. It's 3-2.
You know what I'd like to see, Gary? And we're going to look at this. He did not swing. I know it's all changed, the philosophy. I would like to see a pitcher when a manager comes out to pull him, go, no, please, plead with them. I want to stay in. I want this shutout.
Well, here's the thing. Sosa did not look at all unhappy to come out of the game.
Well,
he looked thrilled.
Well, he had an unbelievable game. I mean,
big hopper for Reyes. And he guns down Terrio for the second out as his tourist moves over to third. So now 2 out for Cliff Floyd. Well, Sosa's on the cusp of going to 3-0 in his first 3 starts, and that's something that has rarely happened in Mets history. In fact, there are only 4 pitchers for the Mets who have won their first 3 starts for the Mets. Bob Shaw in 1966, Bobby Ojeda in 86, Sid in 84, and Pedro Estacio in 2002. And Sosa's on the verge of joining that company. Floyd is 0 for 2 and a walk. And Smith throws him inside. That's not a guy upset at coming out of the game.
well, he's a guy that last year people said his career was over, so he's just so excited to be back on that mound, having success with the Mets are able to hold on to this, a first-place team.
Slider by Smith, and it's 1-1.
Well, Cliff trying to pull. Oh, he took something off of that a little bit. Nice.
There's that list of Mets who started out 3-0 in their first 3 starts.
Did Bob Shaw ever pitch with the Giants? Did he pitch with the Giants, or am I wrong?
He might have. I'm trying to remember where they got him from. The White Sox. I think of Bob Shaw and Bob Friend right about the same time.
Bob Friend, the old Pirate.
2-2 to Floyd.
Sometimes he gets overlooked, but certainly by not by Met fans, and certainly by not his teammates. What a great season Bob Ojeda had in '86. Just
118, right?
Really, the glue, one of the glues to that middle of that rotation. Just changed it up with all that soft stuff on the left side.
It's almost, well, wait for after this pitch.
2-2 to Floyd. Pulled foul.
The Pirates went and got Tudor from Boston.
Yeah.
Whitey went and got Tudor from the Pirates, and Tudor became the pitcher he was. It was like Frank Cashin said, hey, he's left-hander from Fenway with a changeup. Frank went and got Ojeda. And Bob was nails for us. One of the 3 Caballeros.
Broken bat bloop down the line, and that'll get the first run home for the Cubs. Well, Floyd broke a bat, got a base hit, and drives in the run. It's now 7-1 New York. And that run is charged to Jorge Sosa. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he give up runs after he left the game in his first start?
With Joe Smith pitching.
Well, Joe tried to bring a slider, and you can, oh, I love this angle. You can see how it just sawed off Cliff's bat.
0-1 to Soriano. By the way, you were right on, Mr. Hernandez. The Mets got Bob Shaw from the Giants in 1966.
Didn't Bob Shaw have a great year in 65 with the Giants?
65, he went 16-9. 0-2. He pitched for the Tigers, the White Sox, the Kansas City A's, Milwaukee, the Giants, the Mets, and the Cubs. That's a whirlwind. Wow.
The only reason why I know that is because I'm playing the 65 National League in Strato.
There you go. Out of the way. Well, Bob Shaw won 108 games for all those different teams. Won 11-10 with the Mets in 66. And if you could have a winning record with the 66 Mets, that was good. 0-2 to Soriano. And he missed with the sinker. Final line on Sosa, 7 innings plus, 1 hit, 1 run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, and through 3 starts as a Met, he has a 2.25 ERA. Soriano hits one off his foot, foul.
Kind of like those in-between high tops there.
Make over 100 million and get your name on your shoe, by the way.
Is that what it takes? Struck him out. Joe Smith fans Alfonso Soriano to end the inning. But a big night for Jorge Sosa and the Mets. Middle of the 8th, 7-1 New York. Here's your New York Lottery box score. Mets putting together a big offensive night against the Chicago Cubs. Rich Hill and Neil Kotz. Damian Easley with the 2-run homer. Nicely illustrated. Thank you, Keith.
I'm getting better.
David Wright, a couple of RBIs. And Carlos Gomez in his second big league start. 2 runs batted in. Bobby Howard takes over the pitching for the Cubs as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
Well, you see that mark, 301. League's batting against Bob Howard, 4.34, but he has had a tough time of it. He was supposed to be the right-handed setup man. Had a tough time of it so far early in the season.
Jose Reyes up for the 5th time, 1 for 4 on the night. Singled and scored back in the 4th. Fouled away. Well, we were talking about managers and how they use their bullpens nowadays and how things have changed. Game just ended in San Diego tonight. Cincinnati and the Padres went to the bottom of the 9th, 2-2. Bronson Arroyo, the starter for the Padres. That score is not up to date. And Jerry Narron left Arroyo in to pitch the bottom of the 9th. Single, error, walk, forced in the winning run. 3-2 final. Padres win. I mean, that almost never happens, that a guy goes out there to pitch the bottom of the 9th and never gets relieved. He wound up throwing 128 pitches and took the complete game loss. Just to show that it's not always,
well, I think our
100 pitches and fly.
I think our point here is a 7-run lead in this game, not a tie ball game or a 1-run lead.
But probably even less likely for a guy to stay in a tie ball game, right?
Yes.
Although you had precedent for Arroyo here last year when he pitched that great ball game against the Mets and completed 9 innings.
So the Padres got Jake Peavy off the hook in that game. Peavy gave up 2 runs in the first, didn't give up another run over the next 6. He's good.
Yeah.
Reyes watches outside, 1-2.
I think maybe the change of managers, although Bruce Bochy's one of the best in the business, but Bud Black's a former pitcher, former great starting pitcher. It might have calmed Peavy down to get pretty excitable on the mound.
Reyes slaps one the other way. His second hit of the night. That's a great job by Reyes to take that pitch to left field. And as Damian Easley comes up, here's our Panasonic Plasma replay. Panasonic for the speed of sports. This was in the 4th, a long home run off the bat of Easley, his 6th of the year. And Reyes is coming out of the game.
He ran very gingerly down the first base line like he had, I don't know, hurt his ankle or something as he's limping off.
He's limping is right. And remember, he's had hamstring problems.
Well, it's been a long time since you had to worry about any leg problems with Reyes.
Well, let's see. Oh!
So Ruben Gotay is running for Reyes, and we'll hold our breath as Easley takes a strike.
Well, we'll watch the swing. And keep an eye on his legs. There's the plant. That's instant.
Right there.
That is not good news.
0-2 to Easley.
You know, when you pull those muscles, those leg muscles, they linger.
Well, you hope it was just a tweak. The last thing in the world that the Mets can afford is to lose Reyes for any period of time.
You know, hopefully, the best scenario is he might have just maybe twisted his ankle a little bit. Yeah. Because you can come back from that.
Michael Herbst, the assistant trainer, bringing a little report to Willie Randolph.
I wish I was a lip reader.
Right back past Howery and into center field. The tie stops at second, and Easley has his second hit of the night.
Well, here it is again. Watch his. I'm going to watch his ankle. See if he twisted it. I don't see anything, Ron.
I don't see it in ankles.
Nope.
The center fielder.
He did have to reach way across the plate for that.
I don't see an ankle twist at all. Or well, we're going to find out sooner or later. You see, LaDuca is very concerned.
Here's Beltran with 2 on and nobody out, and he takes a strike from Howery. So Jose Reyes leaving the game here in the bottom of the 8th inning after apparently hurting his leg either on the swing or on his first stride out of the box as Beltran fouls it off.
Well, you realize how important Reyes is from the collective breath taken in this booth and taken from the stands downstairs.
Got quiet in a hurry, didn't it? Beltran is 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. That's with 12 hits now. To left field, hit well. Soriano back. Gotay tags at second and moves over to third. Easley holding at first, 1 away. And here is Delgado, who's 1 for 3 and a walk tonight, and even picked up a stolen base in the 3rd inning on the back end of a double steal.
Lou Piniella wants them to check second base to see if Gotay left early.
So they're going to try an appeal play. Howery will step off after time is put back in. And the first base umpire gave the safe sign because that's his call. Eric Cooper over at first gave the safe call after Howery threw to second, which means either he didn't leave early or he wasn't watching.
7-1 ball game. You think Lou isn't competitive?
And Lou's saying you weren't watching. It's 12:42 in the morning, Lou. You got another game in, well, 12 hours and 28 minutes.
Sleep quick tonight.
This is your favorite part of the game, isn't it, Keith?
It's not my favorite war cry. Everybody clap your hands.
Delgado fouls it back.
Oh, excuse me. Is it me? That's on me?
I thought that's
following Nissan post-game live, folks. Nets and Cavs game 5. Recap Yanks doubleheader. That was a split. More Mets post-game reaction, and I'm sure you're going to hear all about what has happened to Jose Reyes. I wasn't paying attention to my producer.
You know what's nice? It's late, and it would be really easy to doze. Your tie, every time I look at you, it wakes me up. It's so bright.
It's chartreuse. Looks like candy.
It does.
It does. You're right.
I like this tie.
That wonderful hard candy.
Yes.
The wrapper. 0-2 to Delgado. And it's low and inside.
Maybe I need to look at it for a bit and wake up.
Well, probably you're looking at mine, which is a little more sedate. It might
I like
you
your
to sleep.
Kai texted me, my wife, text messaged me and said, Gary's tie, wow.
She likes these patterns.
Yes, she does.
He broke that out during the playoffs last year, by the way. Outstanding.
No, this is a new one.
Oh, is it?
Just got it. Yeah.
Oh.
Delgado grounds one to the right side. Ward makes the play to second as a run comes home, and that makes it 8-1. So Gotay scores. Give Delgado an RBI, his 19th, and it's 8-1.
Third baseman, David Wright.
This is the first pitch of the at-bat to Reyes. Bangs with the back of his left leg.
Yeah, yep, he's kind of kicking a little bit. His little tightness. Yep.
That's a good pickup.
Bill Webb does not miss much. And that's our director, folks, if you don't know who he is. I know a lot of you don't.
This is a good hour for Bill.
This is the hour he does his best business right here. 12:45.
Wright lifts one down the right field line, foul, and that'll go in the seats. And it's 0-2 to David, who's had a big night, a single and a double, a sacrifice fly, 2 RBIs. Well, Reyes missed time with an ankle injury in 03, with a hamstring injury in 04. That was his right hamstring. He's been essentially healthy the last 3 years. 1-2 to Wright. And there was so much talk early in Reyes' career about how he would never be a healthy player. But that talk had ceased almost completely.
Well, who's going to play shortstop if Reyes misses a few games? I'm sure Easley will move over. Gotay second base.
Yeah, that would have to be.
That's the question. I mean, Easley's a shortstop. He can play shortstop.
Yep. Easley came up as a shortstop with the Angels and still says that's his best position. 1-2 to Wright, and he gets fooled and takes an ugly hack to end the inning. But the Mets tack on a run in an inning in which they lose Reyes. The question is for how long. Wagner will come on to try and finish it off.
I'm Brian Custer. Coming up on Sports New York, Lasting's Milledge in the news again, and another Met gets suspended by MLB. We'll have the latest. Now back to the game.
Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Kia, the presenting sponsor of the Kia Wednesday Game of the Week on Sportsnet New York. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. By Corona, kick back and relax with an ice-cold Corona. Relax responsibly. By Aflac, ask about it at work. By Nissan and the next generation Nissan Altima. And by IO Digital Cable, the leaders in HD and presenting sponsor of the Mets in high definition. Do you see in HD? Billy Wagner on to pitch the 9th inning for New York. The Mets with an 8-1 lead.
Well, he hasn't pitched in 5 days. Unscored upon in 14 of his 15 outings. Wagner getting some work, but very unusual with the quick turnaround that he'll get his work in this game here at 12:49.
Aramis Ramirez leads off the 9th inning and fouls it back. Ramirez 0 for 3 tonight after his big grand slam last night. 1-1. Well, we were wondering who was going to take over at short for Reyes, whether it would be Easley or Gotay, and at least the initial answer is Gotay, with Easley staying at second. See whether it's the same tomorrow if Reyes has to sit out. One and two to Ramirez.
Do you think that has anything to do with Damian Easley, as you see this good slider from Wagner? Damian Easley is in such, he's locked in hitting that you don't want to move him to another position to worry about that position and take his mind off his hitting. I don't know.
Well, if his position he prefers is shortstop and the one he's most comfortable.
Wright cuts it off and throws out Ramirez. One down in the ninth. In 2007, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York will make a donation to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. If you'd like to help, please go to www.hopeandheroes.org. Let's go to Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Well, guys, this is totally unofficial. I was unable to get to any of the Mets trainers for a report, but I did talk to some of the personnel outside the Met clubhouse who said Reyes is walking around pretty good. Basically, what they said is that the buzz was Reyes felt a little bit of a tightness when he was up at the plate and was just scared and didn't want to run just in case. But they seem to think that he'll be okay. That seemed to be the vibe outside the clubhouse. Again, not official. We'll find it after the game. But at least according to them, it seems like it was just more of a precaution, more that he was scared of getting hurt type of thing, and that he should be okay. We'll see.
Well, we'll cross our fingers and hope that that vibe turns out to be correct. Thanks, Kevin. He's a good reporter, isn't he?
Great.
Good,
pushing to the end.
Good sources. Darrell Ward takes the slider away, and it's 2-1. Here it is again. That's that first pitch.
You can see him on a left hamstring.
You know, the way he's hitting it and stretching it out, and he was able to continue the at bat.
Maybe a cramp?
More spasm, cramp-like, yeah.
Gotay retreating, and he's got it 2 away.
Well, we talked in the open, Gary. We know that games like this, the rain delay, and I was always afraid of getting hurt in a game like this. You got a wet field, you sit down, you lose, you tighten up in air conditioning.
And your body's not used to responding to a 95-mile-an-hour fastball at 12:45 in the morning.
Michael Barrett 0 for 3. The Cubs down to their final out, and Wagner misses low with the fastball.
Guys, suggestions? Who should I get here? Easley, LaDuca? Who do you think would work? Do you care?
One and one to Barrett.
Oh.
Wagner trying to finish off the Cubs. 2-1. Day game tomorrow, or actually today. And we still don't know officially who's starting for the Mets in the day game. Willie's smiling. That's probably a good sign. Jason Vargas will probably get the call. He's probably asleep by now in New York, one would hope. To right center field, Beltran ranging back to the warning track, makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Billy Wagner closes it at 12:53 a.m. with a 1-2-3 ninth inning. Jorge Sosa with a magnificent performance to go to 3-0 as Lou Piniella and the Cubs have dropped 2 out of 3 in this series. But Sosa's the big story. 7 innings, 1 hit. He's now 3-0, 2.25 in his first 3 starts as the Mets win it going away 8-1.
Well, coming into the game, just so great at throwing first pitch strikes. Had 10 in a row at one point. I think it even became 12 in a row. Just outstanding job by Sosa. Good job with his fastball slider. And Damian Easley just continues to produce at that second base.
So the Mets win it 8-1. Hope that Reyes is okay. And they'll try and go for the series win on Thursday afternoon. Back with more from Shea in a moment. Jorge Sosa goes to 3-0 as a Met in his first 3 starts, and the Mets pound out 12 hits. Damian Easley a 2-run homer. David Wright had a big night as well with a couple of hits and 2 RBIs. as the Mets have taken 2 out of 3 from the Cubs thus far in the series, and they'll close it out in 12 hours and 13 minutes in the finale of this 4-game set at 1 o'clock. Coming up next, it's Nissan post-game live with Chris Cotter and Lee Mazzilli. It was a rainy night at Shea, 3-hour and 7-minute rain delay at the start, but well worth the wait for Jorge Sosa. He was so good. Carlos Gomez drove in an early run. In fact, he had 2 RBIs tonight. David Wright with a short sacrifice fly. Nice defensive play as well. Little defense on both sides. But Damian Easley with the biggest blow, a 2-run homer, his 6th of the year, and playing well past midnight. The Mets roll out to an 8-1 victory behind Jorge Sosa. For Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, and Kevin Burkhardt, I'm Gary Cohen. See you in a few hours.
Welcome to Nissan Post Game Live. Chris Cotter along with Lee Mazzilli. Thanks for staying up with us. The Mets get a big 8-1 win in Game 3 of 4 against the Chicago Cubs tonight. And I actually should say this morning. But, Maz, we're going to talk all about this game. But let's start with Jose Reyes. When the game was all said and done, he lined a base hit into left field and ran to first base a little gingerly. And as a former manager yourself, you've got to look at that and say, oh, I got to get him out of there immediately, don't you?
No question. As soon as you see him running, you're going to take him out. But it's almost like you say to yourself, when you're driving home, you say, should I have let him hit that or, that inning or just taking him out? It was 7-1. But anytime you see your star player hobbling it around, you're going to take him right out of the game.
Yeah, and Kevin Burkhardt reported there late in the game that just felt a little tightness, nothing to be overly alarmed about. But even if you get the slightest bit of alarm from Jose Reyes, you sit him down and you let him play another day, which will be tomorrow. Jorge Sosa, meanwhile, was unbelievable on the hill. Maz, you talked about it in the pregame show about throwing that slider for strikes so he doesn't have to go to that fastball. What did he do tonight?
Yeah, he threw sliders. I mean, obviously he had a great game, won 7 innings, gave up 1 hit, but he threw his slider, kept guys off his fastball. He couldn't just sit on his fastball, threw his slider for strikes. He got first pitch strikes tonight, and that was the key to the game.
Yeah, at one point in time, he had 11 consecutive first pitch strikes. He got ahead of batters. That's and the key for him. All right, let's continue to move on. An unbelievable night for just about everybody on the box, as you could see. Every regular for the Mets got a base hit tonight except for Jorge Sosa, the pitcher. And Damian Easley continues to impress. A titanic home run to left field tonight. You talk about 6 home runs now, second on the team with 6 home runs in just 64 at-bats. Here's a look at the home run, and this thing travels. This thing is beyond the bullpen, 415 feet. An estimated traveling, and he's been amazing.
Yeah, he's done a great job, and it was a great sign by Omar to pick up a player like him. And he's a guy, I think, not only Met fans, I think all fans, you pull for a guy like Easley because, you know what, he goes about his business in a professional way, does not say anything, goes out and plays the game, looks when his time comes, he's ready to play. He's just a good guy to have on a team. I think you want to see a guy like him do well, and he's doing a great job for them. He really is. I mean, you lose Valentin, you don't know what's going to happen. We talked about that last year when they lost Hernandez and Valentin came in and took over that job, and Easley's doing a great job, and he can also play shortstop if Reyes goes down as well.
Very versatile and the consummate professional. Let's take a look at what the Cubs did as well, and not very much. We'll get more into Sosa's night, but as you can see, a lot of zeros there. Is Turris with a hit. Cliff Floyd, who got the RBI late in this one when the game was already said and done, but a whole lot of zeros for the Cubs, so not a lot to write home about. Jorge Sosa, the main reason for that. We'll break down his performance. We'll hear from Willie on him when we come back. Don't forget Nissan Post Game Live, presented in high definition by IO Digital Cable, the leader in HD. Do you see an HD?
This year.
Welcome back to Nissan Post Game Live. Mets winners today out at Shea. Let's take you out to Shea Stadium. The Cubs in town, game 3 of 4, and you did not want to be at Shea at 7:16 this evening. Rain coming down hard. Tarp is out. First pitch delayed. 9:45. Grounds crew starts to take the tarp off, and at 10:16, Jorge Sosa takes the mound for his 3rd start of the year for the Mets. After the 3-hour delay, gets leadoff batter Ryan Theriot to go down swinging. Rich Hill on the hill for the Cubs. Gets Jose Reyes looking to lead things off, and Jose displeased. Then Damian Easley gets caught looking. Neither pitcher affected initially by the delay. We go to the second, 2 outs. Paul LaDuca laces a single to left field. Next batter, Sean Green, also going the other way as he's done so well this year. So first and second for the Rook. Carlos Gomez making just his second major league start. The little bloop to right field, will it drop? Yes, LaDuca comes around to score. Gomez's first major league RBI. Mets take an early 1-zip lead. 2 outs in the third. Cliff Floyd up. Cesar Turris on third base. Sosa gets the former Met to ground out to second. Inning over. Mets still up 1-0. We go to the bottom half of the inning now. Reyes leading off. The shot to third. Aramis Ramirez, a nice snag, and then throws out Reyes.
Well, it's a great play by Ramirez, and here it is, almost like a design play where you'll throw it in the grass, and that's the only way you're going to get Jose or Reyes. What a great play right there.
And after an Easley walk, Carlos Beltran lines this base hit into left field. Easley's going to hold up at second base. And 2 batters later, after a Delgado walk, they're all loaded for David Wright. Great situation, pops up. Looks like it's going to be a great play for the Cubbies, as Terrio goes back and makes a play on it, but Easley tags up, and he's going to beat the throw easily, so the Mets up 2-0. LaDuca up with 2 on. Both runners take off. Beltran to third, Delgado to second.
Well, you know what? He had a running start right there. He really had no chance to get him. That's his first stolen base in 5 years. He's got a big smile on his face right there.
Since 2002. So after an intentional walk to LaDuca, Sean Green lines it to first. Now Darrell Ward makes a nice play there. And the Mets don't get anything out of it, or just 1 run. They're up 2-1 after 3. Bottom 4 now, Gomez lining it to third base. Another great play by Aramis Ramirez. Take another look. Cubs actually playing some good defense with the exception of that David Wright pop-up. Later in the inning, Reyes on first after the bloop single, and Easley. Damian Easley, the shot to left, no doubt about it, clears the Cubs bullpen. As you can see, Willie and Jerry Manuel loving it. 415 feet. His 6th in just 64 at-bats. Mets up 4-0. Jorge Sosa was dominant. Jock Jones, the opposing pitcher, Rich Hill. Here's Cliff Floyd, all going down swinging in the 7th. He's going to get Jones again. Swinging to end the inning. 1 hit, 5 strikeouts through 7 innings. Loving it. Then, bottom of 7, Carlos Delgado. After a leadoff walk to Beltran, he gets the single on a line drive to center field. Every starter for the Mets with a base hit. Next batter, right. Down the line to left, Beltran is going to come around to score. Mets now extending the lead. They're up 5-0. After LaDuca sacrifice fly brings in Delgado. Gomez with Wright on third, and he gets it inside the bag at third. Comes in to score. Gomez holds up with a double. His 2nd RBI of the game and of his major league career. Now to the 8th. Watch Jose Reyes here. Looping the base hit the other way. Nice piece of hitting, but watch him as he takes off for first. Almost immediately. Comes up a little bit lame, gingerly to first, and as we talked about before, Willie was taking no chances, pulling him out right away. The Mets go on to win it convincingly, 8-1. An unbelievable performance by Jorge Sosa. 7 innings, giving up just a hit, the 1 run as well. He improves to 3-0 with the Mets. 12-2 in terms of hits. The Mets out hitting the Cubs. Great performance.
You know, just on Sosa, if you look at it, in the top of the 7th inning, it was 4-0 Mets, and it was a 3-2 count on Jock Jones, and he threw a 3-2 slider with 2 outs. That just goes to show you the confidence that he had in the slider tonight. Just a great performance by Sosa. All
right, let's take a look at the NL East standings right now as we speak, and it is up to date since the Mets were the last ones playing in this group, and the Mets have retaken a half-game lead over the Braves. We've been saying it all year long, Maz. It looks like these two may be flip-flopping back and forth all year.
But, the Phillies are coming back. They got to 500 right now, so they're getting back in the race as well.
How about Philadelphia? They started the year so poorly, yet they've been playing so well as of late, trying to get themselves back in. All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Willie Randolph. It was a late night, so he might not speak for very long, but he's going to speak on Jorge Sosa and his great performance tonight, so keep it here. Well, still plenty more to do here on Nissan Postgame Live, but first we bring in Brian Custer for a look on what's ahead on Sports New York. Brian?
Chris, thank you very much. Coming up on Sports New York, immediately following Nissan Postgame Live, it is do or die for the Nets against LeBron and the Cavs. We got full highlights and post-game reaction from Cleveland in Game 5. And Lastings Milledge in the news again, and another Met gets suspended by MLB. Mets General Manager Omar Minaya will give us his thoughts on both of those topics. And we'll have much more from Shea, and we'll recap the Yankees doubleheader in the Windy City. All this and more coming up on Sports New York. Now back to you, Chris, and Lee Mazzilli on Nissan Post-Game Live.
All right, Brian, I appreciate it. 8-1, the final. The Mets with the win this morning over the Cubs. Now, Willie Randolph is going to speak a little bit about tomorrow, or should I say later today. I got to make sure I get that straight. The pitcher later today, and also the pitcher for tonight's game.
Vargas is going to be our starter tomorrow, and Lou is going to go to DL. We're going to retroactive him, and he's going to be on the DL. And Vargas is our starter tomorrow.
Willie's Reyes okay?
Yeah, he just cramped up a little bit. Just wanted to take it easy. So yeah, he feels okay. Said he's all right.
They do any tests with him? X-rays, MRIs, or anything?
No.
How is that?
No.
You think he'll play tomorrow well?
We'll see how he feels tomorrow.
It was just a cramp, not a pull.
That's what he said it felt like. He said he felt when he took the swing, he felt a little slight cramp, and that's the way I'm looking at it. That's what he told me.
Did you say it was a swing when he hit it, or was it the swing before it when he felt it?
He said he took a swing from the left side. I think it's the first time he swung left hand tonight. He just felt a little cramp. I don't think it's anything serious.
Well, when you get a situation like Vargas, like Sosa, how well he was pitching tonight, is there, I don't know, twinge that just because you don't see too many anymore to let him in there and see how far he could go, or just because the score is the way it is, you figure time to get him out of there?
No. I mean, he threw the ball well, and you always want to, we went to get other guys some work. Billy wanted to pitch today. He hadn't pitched in a little while, but no, you want to finish it with a positive start. I thought he was getting a little tired at the end. It's not just about the pitch count. If you see him laboring a little bit, I thought he was getting on these pitches a little bit, so get him out of there.
Will you see continue to amaze you a little bit? I think it's 20 innings, 9 hits he's given up now, something like that.
No, it's not amazing. He's doing a nice job. He's doing a nice little rhythm right now. He's pitched like that in the past at times. He's really feeling his pitches and staying on his slider real well and mixing in other pitches every once in a while. But, when you're in a nice rhythm, it's like hitting. Same thing with pitches. When you feel in your rhythm and you got a nice, cadence going and you just feel good. So he's in that little zone right now, Throwing the ball well, did a nice job. I mean, anytime you come in and rip off 3 wins, it's pretty nice. And, I just hope it's very similar to what he did a couple years ago when he was with Atlanta. So he's capable of doing it. And I see he wants to be here and an opportunity to take the ball. So did a great job tonight. Outstanding job.
All right, a couple of things from that, Maz. First of all, Vargas going to get the start on Thursday afternoon. 5 starts for the Marlins. Last year will be his first start for the Met for the lefty. So we'll see what he brings to the table in terms of a spot start here and there. And then really Alou. He made the announcement that Alou is going on the DL. It's not much of a surprise, but you hope that's just a very isolated thing. He gets off the DL and he can remain somewhat healthy for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you know what? You're going to have players that are going to get hurt, obviously, and you want to just minimize it. If it's going to be 2 weeks, you can get away with that, but you want to stay away from the major catastrophes where a major player is going to go down for 2 months or so. So, you know what? I think the team's going to get by without Alou for a couple of weeks, but like I said, you want to keep it down. You don't want to have major injuries.
Especially given the start he's had. And also, the fans are at least getting a treat seeing Carlos Gomez and the work he's doing early on in his major league career. Still a lot more to come here on Nissan Post Game Live. Mets 8-1 winners over the Cubs. Keep it here. Nissan play of the game. Damian Easley in the 4th inning with Jose Reyes on first base, and they can both take their time rounding the bases because Easley takes this thing 415 feet. 6th home run of the season. That's 2nd on the team with just 64 at-bats. Unbelievable. All right, let's take a quick look at tomorrow's starters. I should say later on today. It's already Thursday. Later on today, Angel Guzman going for the Cubs, and then Jason Vargas making his debut for the Mets. And Maz, 5 starts last year, 13 starts in 05, and really, might have to see him a couple of times, okay? What is he looking for in Vargas?
Well, you know what? He's got to say to him, forget about Maine, Glavine, Sosa, and Perez. Don't think about what they are doing. You go out there and pitch your own game. I think what Willie's going to look for him is how he attacks the hitters and how he goes after his game plan, what his game plan is going to be. And that's all you can expect. And you go inning by inning with a guy that you really don't know yet.
So Jorge Sosa, just to wrap things up today, an unbelievable performance, giving up just the 1 hit, the 1 run in a 7+ innings. So Willie's got to feel pretty good about him. We'll see how Vargas does later on Thursday. 8-1 the final. The Mets with the win over the Cubs. I'm Chris Cotter.
I'm Lee Mazzilli. Good morning, New York.